You know the drill. A dude dies and reincarnates with some OP wishes. This time, what if the cursed technique was as broken as Mahoraga's adaptation? Can Naohiro surpass Mr. Na? I'd win. Well, hello there. Omni-sensei here with What If I Was Reborn in JJK with Mahoraga's adaptation. If you enjoy this content, please smash the like button. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to check out the original story linked in the description. I hope you enjoy listening to it.
Who knew that reincarnation was a thing? Sure, you read fanfictions all the time about it, but it is mostly just people wanting to escape from the harsh truth that the real world sucks. That was dark, but less about that and more about me. My name's Sora, or was Sora. Now I am Naohiro, a prodigy young master of the Zenin clan. Now that I say it out loud, it sounds like a bad cultivation novel. However, I apparently have a technique that isn't very good and not worthy of being head of the clan. Usually, I would have been overlooked as a mob in the clan, but there were some issues regarding my existence. Naobito is my father, meaning Naoya, the misogynist asshole himself, is my brother. I am a year older than him, so I was supposed to be the next head of the Zenin clan, but things turned out for the worse because it seemed like the clan valued cursed techniques over raw power. Toji and Maki are prime examples because even a baby awakened Maki could tear through the entire clan and one-shot Naoya while having internal damage. Since I wasn't born with projection sorcery and had a new curse technique that didn't meet their standards, I became the kid living in his brother's shadow. My curse technique is called Cursed Evolution, which could sound cooler, but it's basically Mahoraga's adaptation. You might be asking yourself, how is that technique average? To outsiders, all it does is make me resistant to anything I touch or get hit by while the technique is active. It isn't nearly as popular as the 10 shadows that the clan cares so much about. For all of his potential, the potential Mun was pretty wasted without it being in the hands of the king of cooking. It was interesting that they thought of my curse technique as an average curse technique. I guess it makes sense because I can't think of a single person who has seen Mahoraga and is still alive aside from Kenjaku. Ever since I had my curse technique awakened, I knew the potential that I had, and I was going to abuse it. While I become more resistant to attacks, the other clan members haven't realized that 2 or more strikes or interactions are all it takes to be nearly immune to it as long as I have cursed energy. It's a newer technique, and I haven't needed to disclose how my curse technique works since I haven't been fighting anything too insane yet. Whenever I adapt to something or have a clink moment, my cursed energy drains as long as I hold my curse technique active. When my technique ends, I lose my adapted phenomena. However, there are a few exceptions to this rule that I haven't quite figured out since I sometimes feel stronger after my adaptation ends. The more complex the adaptation, the more cursed energy gets drained. Slashing attacks like the ones in Shibuya wouldn't take much cursed energy. Still, something like a domain expansion/infinity, which requires multiple clinks or mental spins, would make a dent in my reserves if kept active for an extended period. Yes, I meant dent in my reserves. Now on to the more interesting things. I ended up dying by falling down a flight of stairs. I'm not very original, but who cares when you are in a fictional anime verse? I have the chance to become somebody in a world where I would have been a nobody. I did meet ROB, and since I got into one of the most tragic and dangerous worlds, I got to have 3 wishes and choose the time I was in. I knew that I had to wish for some broken shit because of the total mess that goes down later in the story, and who knows if I would get Gidge off screen like fodder since I'm not Sukuna or Toji. Using these wishes, I want to ensure that I can take on or surpass Fraud Kuna and Go/Joe. Even in fanfiction, people have difficulty getting to 15-finger Sukuna since Gidge made them much stronger than the rest of the verse. To survive, I'll need to abuse the hell out of my knowledge and take advantage of wishes that have little restrictions. I obviously can't wish to be a Marvel-like abstract or blow up universes like Dragon Ball characters, so I made my wishes as broken as possible for the power system. Time, Gojo Ghetto Shoko. I need time to prepare for everything that goes down. 16 or 18 years aren't enough, and I can make preparations early. I need to make sure a few of the key events happen. I won't be sitting around while Gojo gets sealed, but he needs to be humbled and awakened to become the powerhouse he is in the future. There is also the issue with Geto, Kenjaku, Yuji/Sukuna. I still haven't fully worked them out yet. I might have some broken cheats, but I'm not an Aizen or Kenjaku level planner. Sigh. It sucks, but I'll have to be a background character for a while. Now then, going back to the wishes I had. 1. Mahoraga's adaptation as a cursed technique. I chose this for obvious reasons since, while not flashy, it gets the job done. There are a few glaring weaknesses. The first is that if someone can one-shot you, you're screwed. Second off, if you can't tank hits or get used to a technique fast enough, you're screwed. To fix these, I had another wish. 2. Sukuna's cursed energy reserves. It was supposed to be infinite but impossible without a cursed technique activation characteristic. Without it, I would probably explode. Just fighting with Yuta made Ishigori comment on him, stating that he felt like he was hitting a water tank. What would it be like if I had more than double his cursed energy? While he has a ton of CE, the Zenin value CT over anything else. His CT reserves are going to explode when he continues to grow. As a kid, he has roughly the same amount as a grade 1 sorcerer like Nanami. Now, I was worried that my final wish wouldn't get accepted since I was seeing how far I could push them, but ROB didn't seem to care all that much as long as I wasn't blowing up planets. Finally, my last wish was 3. Omit me from the balance of the curses/sorcerer power. Oh yeah, I'm going to have fun. I didn't raise a flag, did I? Gidge. It's a boy. Welcome to the world, Naohiro. Well, it looks like ROB wasn't bullshitting when he told me that I was being brought into Jujutsu Kaisen, but he could have told me that I would be in one of the worst clans in the series. That title goes to the Kumo clan because they are lame, but anywho. Looking up, I see a man who looks like he's in his 40s, narrowing his eyes at me. I unconsciously started sweating because I recognized that old fart, even if he was younger. After a few seconds, I lost the staring contest, and he broke out a slight smirk. This cursed energy, what a monster you'll become. Everyone is making a fuss about that new Gojo brat, but maybe we might have our own. I felt as if my life had just gotten a lot more complicated. 1 year later, it turns out the old drunk is my father. I would say that I'm glad OG wasn't my father, but being OG's son means that Naoya isn't your direct sibling. I am also the next clan head, which I have no intentions of following through with. Clan politics, especially with the Zenin clan, would be a waste of time, considering they were ultimately useless. It's a boy. Random Nurse Mob number 1 is back at it again with the cliché announcements. Nurse Mob number 2 is the classic display of the baby to the rest of the room while making generic statements. People have already seen me as the Satoru of the Zenin clan because I pick up almost everything quickly, can speak broken sentences, and can practically walk. Not even talking about the monstrous amount of cursed energy that I have at my age. Some people think I might have a heavenly restriction, but last time I checked, the cursed energy restriction would make me a sickly gremlin. No offense to Mekamaru, scratch that, offense to Mekamaru, but he was only interesting in his ultimate mode. Thankfully, I was Japanese when I died, so I could pick up on things rather quickly when it came to learning new phrases. As an older brother to Naoya, who was being passed around like a piece of art, I had a few options in front of me. I could ignore him to pursue the path of strength alone to reach the heights of Jujutsu sorcery, or I could change him to be a better human capable of running the Zenin clan as a leader instead of a prick. I was considering a third option. Spit on him. With the third option ruled out, I ultimately decided against actively changing him since becoming the clan head and being an older brother would put him in his place. It will probably change his personality, as I would be seen as his prodigy older brother with potential on the level of Satoru Gojo. I might have gotten a little ahead of myself since that title belongs to the goat Higuruma, but I will focus on strength and plans rather than dealing with a future arrogant waste of space. The only thing that I am worried about is that I won't awaken the 10 shadows or projection sorcery, which is one of the 2 techniques almost required of a clan head of the Zenin clan. With my showings, I think the clan assumes I'll be that person, considering Satoru Gojo has the 6 eyes and, to their knowledge, most likely the limitless. Techniques only manifest around 4 to 6 years old, so Satoru's and my techniques aren't currently known. The fascinating thing is that I was conveniently born alongside Satoru, so when the balance shifted, each clan naturally thought of their respective children as the people who broke the balance between curses and sorcerers. I knew it wasn't me, and thank God I didn't shift the balance because 2 sorcerers who have the possibility of standing at the peak you can reach in sorcerers would annihilate everyone below us. It might sound arrogant to say that, but I was going to use my potential. The disaster curses and powerful unregistered special grades were born because of the shift in the balance of sorcerers and curses. Hell, the disaster curses clear everyone that isn't in the top 0.1% of the verse. I was brought out of my thoughts when the nurse brought over my new brother. Look, Naohiro, It's your younger brother Naoya. Please help him in the future as an older brother. I had evil thoughts but realized this baby wouldn't be the same Naoya as in the original timeline. These aren't fictional characters anymore. My presence here will cause a massive chain reaction that will make some of my knowledge useless. Chen. With that confirmation, she brought him to Naohiro to discuss some random business. I refused to call that drunk my father or clan head. While I liked him when I saw him in the story, I knew he allowed everything that happened to Toji, Maki, and Mai. Oji and Naoya had a hand in that, but Naohiro could easily deal with them if it came down to fists. Toji was bullied, beaten, and scared. Maki was nearly killed and treated like trash. Mai was killed. I wouldn't forgive my clan for ruining the lives of some of the people I liked the most. Speaking of Toji, I haven't seen him in the compound ever since I was born. I don't know if he has already left the clan or if I can't see him because he doesn't want to be seen. I remember seeing him walk past Naoya in a sick panel when Naoya fought Maki for the first time. Toji was my favorite character in Jujutsu Kaisen because he was the catalyst that started nearly everything that we see. Only Kenjaku has him beaten in terms of how the world was affected. He created the strongest sorcerer, killed Riko, drove Geto down his path of madness, and created Megumi, whom Sukuna would take as a vessel. In different circumstances, I might have fanboyed meeting Toji, but he needs to be dealt with. If two of the strongest sorcerers at the time of Hidden Inventory weren't nearly enough to kill him, Reawaken Gojo, I'll need to surpass them when that time comes around. Hell, he only lost to Gojo because he was doubting himself and was rusty. These heavily weakened heavenly restriction characters since Maki went from getting blitzed by cursed Naoya to folding him just by doing sumo. I doubt I'll be able to take on a stronger Toji than the one shown, so I'll need to create some type of countermeasure against him if I'm not strong enough. Wow, am I really glazing him more than Naoya? That is a problem for me in the future. I'm having these deep conversations with myself, and I'm not even 2 yet. I was worried about feeling and using cursed energy, but with so much in my body, I was basically forced to hold it together. Now that I can feel and manipulate it, it's time to get stronger. I said I would get stronger, but there isn't much you can do when you have constant 24/7 surveillance and can't move like an adult. The clan has been highly protective ever since my birth. I have 2 mobs in the ceiling and a maid that attends to me. They initially found it weird that I don't cry or whine like a child, but I assume they think, oh, it's the young prodigy, he isn't like other children or something stupid. I'm not going to go around shitting my pants and crying when I have more important things to focus on. I found it funny when I heard Naoya screaming across the compound. JJK readers would pay a ton of money to see Naoya crying. To my assistance, I had to look insane, giggling at my crying brother. I really shouldn't hate him, but I have nothing else to compare him to based on what I know in the story. I still have a few years before my curse technique manifests, so the best I can do is meditate to feel, manipulate, and shape my current cursed energy. Ideally, I'll at least have RCT by the time I enter Jujutsu High and, in a perfect world, a domain, be it incomplete or a full one. I wonder what a completed domain of my technique would be like, as well as answering one of the questions I had in my mind. How the hell do people know their hand signs and the name of their domain? Should I think of one, or does it come naturally, like information about a cursed technique? The horizon of the captivating Skunda is sick even though it was Dagon's domain. He came, fresh out of his womb state, and was able to form the signs for a domain and come up with a cool name like that. Wait, didn't he already make the island in his womb state? I'll need to figure all that out when I master my curse technique since I won't be able to open a domain without mastery. A simple domain is an excellent start to anti-domain techniques. The old man knows Falling Blossom emotion, but that isn't very effective against proper sure-kill domains like Mahito's or Gojo's. If I run into a random special grade curse, I'll need some type of anti-domain until I figure mine out because the blue-eyed nerd screwed up the power system. Now that I think about it, I really shouldn't be talking about the balance being broken since I got a wish to prevent me from doing the same thing. Yep, I'm a total hypocrite. Do I care? No. Well, enough of that since it isn't the important thing that is going on now. Cursed energy was practically oozing from my body. I needed to get control of it fast because if I managed to control my body's energy, I could tank nearly any attack. That is any attack that wasn't hacks to all hell or a matter of a racing technique like Purple or Perfect Sphere. Sigh. I have more than 20 years before the main events occur, but Kenjaku is running around in someone's body, so I don't know what I should do. He is so unpredictable it pisses me off. What irritates me more is that I am forced to be a significant figure in Jujutsu society, so there is no way that Kenjaku doesn't know about me. He is probably making just as many plans for me as for Satoru. Since I was born alongside Satoru, it's safe to think that he sees me as a lesser threat since a Six Eyes user has been born close to the merger, which has beat his butt on multiple occasions. Since I'm currently being watched and don't have access to much, I'll sleep and train as much as possible. 4 years later. Huff. Huff. Not good enough. You're too slow. Let your cursed energy flow through your body and read where my attacks will come from. I've been pushing more cursed energy into the places I will attack from. Sense it and move. Easy for you to say, fastest sorcerer. That comment earned me a heavy punch in the stomach and a few fractured bones. Yeah, he shouldn't have been a smartass to the clan head who is faster and stronger than his older counterpart. My cursed energy amount has been reaching higher and higher, making it hard to control it. Thankfully, the training I conducted growing up helped me a ton. I could beat almost anyone in the clan that wasn't a higher-ranked member. Apparently Satoru has already awakened his curse technique, and to nobody's surprise, it was the Limitless. Ever since I turned 5, the clan has been tense with the possibility of their prodigy awakening the legendary 10 Shadows or the signature projection sorcery. During my time in this world, I figured out that domains and RCT are complex as hell. While watching, you think, why are RCT and domain users not that common? Spreading out your technique sounds just as confusing as actually performing it. While I hadn't gotten mine yet, I could barely reinforce myself with cursed energy, let alone spread cursed energy into an innate domain. I listened to Satoru's explanation of RCT creating positive energy by combining two negatives, but it still makes no sense to me. It's not like I can ask Shoko when I enter Jujutsu High because she sucks at explaining it. My two goals of reaching both of these seem impossible, but I still have a lot of time, and as soon as I awaken my cursed technique, I have a feeling things will be way different. I was already at the level of a low-grade 2 sorcerer, but it's hard to look impressive when one of the strongest sorcerers alive is wailing on you. I got the old man to train me personally since he surprisingly had amazing teaching skills. But while he held back his punches, they still hurt like hell. I guess I'll need to go to the medical ward. Sigh. This is the 3rd time this week. Welp, time to get moving. Even if I must drag myself there, I need to keep going. As I was lying on the ground, I heard a distinct sound in my head. Clink. After hearing that noise, I instinctively released cursed energy to activate what I had just learned. I felt my ribs slowly move back together. Then, what felt like an infinite amount of information about my new curse technique entered my head. Cursed evolution. Hee hee hee. Hee hee. Ha 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 ha. Finally. I got my curse technique, you old bastard. I was in pure ecstasy. After 5 years of going through bullshit, I could finally use cursed techniques, something that I dreamed about when I was in my previous life. Another thing that I've always wanted to do is say, domain expansion, and not have people call me a weeb or cringe, but showcase my power. Something I noticed about my body was that I had enough cursed energy to pump a ton of it into the adaptation to make it more effective. Let's try something I haven't done since I got here. Binding vows are dangerous but can save your butt in a pinch and, when incorporated in sorcery, can become a piece of your arsenal. I sacrificed 99% of my current remaining cursed energy to turn my adaptation into a maximum technique for 10 seconds. As soon as I said that, cursed energy was instantaneously sucked out of me, and I felt tired, but I could feel and see my injuries heal like I was using RCT. I doubt I could heal limbs with my technique as it is now, but Mahoraga can do it. Who says I need to use RCT when it might be less cost-effective in the future? RCT is still on the to-do list for now since it can open the doors to many future opportunities, like healing other people. Also, who knows if I can expand my arsenal of techniques other than haha adapt go brrrr. After 10 seconds, my body feels as good as new. The only thing that I feel is drained from my cursed energy. I didn't need to sacrifice 99% of it, but I thought that I might test what it is like to make a binding vow that takes a ton of energy. As I stood up, I saw the old man walk into the room with a face that would make children cry. Show me. Me and my big mouth. One trip to the medical bay later. Sigh. At least give me a bit to get my cursed energy back. Now that I showed him basically nothing in our second round of spars other than minor reinforcement, he didn't seem pleased. Even at 1% of my total cursed energy, I could handle the basics of cursed energy reinforcement. Funnily enough, having less cursed energy made it easier to manage. My body is still growing, so I still don't have a vessel capable of handling the amount of cursed energy I have. I knew the management of cursed energy would become much easier after I hit puberty, but it pisses me off since it feels like I'm being nerfed. Thankfully, I'm not in a meaningful fight, so it doesn't really matter, but I feel like my time is being wasted trying to control my energy that will naturally fit into my body in a few years. After our second round of spars, Naohiro looked disappointed. He knew I didn't have the 10 shadows or projection sorcery based on my simple explanation of the technique. I didn't want to reveal much about it, so I still had the card in my pocket. I told him about how cursed evolution allowed my body to react to negative ailments and phenomena, which is the most downplayed explanation of Mahoraga's technique. Even with the potential I have shown, it looks like he will look toward Naoya to see if he inherited the Zenin curse techniques. He saw my technique as developing resistance. Junichi, Chojuro, and Oji had average curse techniques but were still high-ranking clan members. If I were to guess, Naohiro felt disappointed because, as the clan head, he wasted his time on a son who wouldn't even inherit their best techniques. What an idiot. I hate this stupid clan. You all would piss your pants if Toji decided to cut you all down, but you still rely on cursed techniques being labeled as powerful. The culture surrounding Jujutsu sorcery is something that I still haven't understood after living here for 5 years. Big bro, I heard you got your curse technique. Did you get projection sorcery, or better yet, the 10 shadows? Naoya, he looks up to me since I am the pride of the Zenin clan. How do I tell him? Not those two, but I did get something interesting. Looking over at Naoya, I see him look confused before asking me. What is it then, if not those? Listen closely, Naoya. I have a super powerful curse technique. It's a new one that hasn't been seen in the Zenin clan. It's called Cursed Evolution. The clan members will say it is nothing impressive, but between you and me, it's the strongest. Kids are so easy. He looked at me like I was some deity. Whoa, stronger than the 10 shadows? Hee, perfect timing. Well, it depends on what the 10 shadows are used for. It probably gives me a tough time at its peak, but in terms of technique versus technique, I'd win. Pinky promise you will keep this between us, alright? What is a pinky promise? It becomes my turn to look confused. What kid doesn't know what a pinky promise is? Throwing those thoughts away, I say, it's a sacred promise that kids use that mustn't be broken. It's even stronger than a binding vow. I can't help but snicker when I see him go, whoa, and then we interlock our pinky fingers. Ha ha ha, now I have the most sacred promise in all of existence with Naoya, a pinky promise. That is not a sentence that I would ever hear in any lifetime that I lived. Damn Naohiro, a drunk deadbeat that hospitalized his own child. I need to get stronger, not deal with unstable children. Oof. Looks like Naoya ran into someone when he was leaving. Glancing over to the doorway, I meet the eyes of the one person I wouldn't want to meet. Toji Zenin, the trash of the Zenin clan. He was born with a heavenly restriction that prevented him from awakening cursed techniques and having an ounce of cursed energy. Heavenly restrictions come in many different forms. While they can be strong, they impose massive handicaps. Cursed energy restrictions give one a weak body in exchange for a massive amount of cursed energy. However, the one Toji was born with could be said to be positive. The lack of any cursed energy with maximized physical ability. While it is called a restriction, it can hardly be one due to the massive benefits that are given. To any sorcerer, his lack of cursed energy makes him nearly undetectable to anyone who isn't tracking him with their eyes or having a special trait like the 6 eyes. Even then, the physical ability given to a heavenly restriction user makes them fast enough that even if you try to follow them with your eyes, you will quickly lose track of them. That makes anyone with this restriction the worst matchup for sorcerers relying heavily on their cursed energy for detection. Aside from being invisible, the other main benefit is having maximized physical ability. This shouldn't be understated since their raw power and speed make them a nightmare for most people to go up against. Being born with a heavenly restriction can make someone surpass any cursed technique that could have been awakened. 2 are widely known, and depending on how you look at them, they can either be amazing or one of the worst things to happen to a person. To the Zenin clan, Toji fell in the latter category. Bullied and beaten by his family for something he had no control over, Toji knew that he would never be accepted in the clan, given he didn't awaken a cursed technique. So, with that knowledge, he left the clan after growing strong enough to destroy it single-handedly. Once he fully awakened his heavenly restriction, the clan regretted everything they had done to him. It ended up being a matter of his when whether the Zenin clan existed, as nobody could stop him. Not even the fastest sorcerer alive could make him fall. While heavenly restriction users have been born in the past, none have been like Toji. 10 shadows? Projection sorcery? Who gives a damn? Toji Zenin, ever since I saw the Gojo brat, I knew he was supposed to be the strongest. Deciding to look at what the fuss was about left me surprised since a child could see me out of everyone. He was able to see me. While I knew he would change the world of Jujutsu, I couldn't help but think about the new prodigy of the Zenin clan. The Zenin is filled with many desperate fools who think they have a chance of rivaling the Gojo clan. These suspicions were even more confirmed when I saw the Zenin kid myself. He could have had potential if he had been born with the 10 shadows, but he was painfully ordinary. Sure, he had a lot of cursed energy, but who cares if he can't even use it properly? There are stories about 10 shadows and limitless 6 eyes users being equal in battle. The Zenin love their prized 10 shadows and would freak out if a user wasn't tied to their clan. I left the clan compound a few years ago to stay far away. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't set foot back here, but I needed a few things. Cough. BLEH. No matter how many times I do it, swallowing and spitting up a cursed spirit will never get normal, even for a freak like me. Walking back into the clan was simple because of my lack of cursed energy, but I'd rather not be here longer than possible. Walking down a secure hall, I made my way towards my goal of coming back here. Stopping in front of a giant metal door that had a lock on it, I grabbed the lock and crushed it in my hands, shoving the door open. A significant problem with killing curses is that they can't be fully exorcised without cursed energy. While they can be incapacitated with physical ability, cursed energy is required to deal with them. As the door opens, I look around, taking in the mass amount of cursed tools around me. A wide smile then appears on my face. Inverted Spear of Heaven, Playful Cloud, Chain of 1,000 Miles, Soul Split Katana. There seem to be hundreds of cursed tools in here. I doubt the clan would care if some special grade cursed tools went missing. I might as well take some of the normal cursed tools since I wouldn't need to use a special grade tool on curses of grade 1 and below. Unfortunately, they will figure out that something has been taken because of the broken lock, but no one in the clan can stop me in the first place. Getting a hold of this cursed spirit was one of the best things a heavenly restriction user with 0 cursed energy could have. It has a nearly infinite amount of storage while being invisible when consumed. After all, the organs of the invisible are also invisible. After shoving many cursed tools into the cursed spirit, I swallowed it and headed for the exit. It was time to get to work. Damn, being judged by Toji isn't a pleasant feeling. He stood there for a few seconds before walking off, not bothering to wait or apologize to Naoya. At this point, Naoya, while a genius, is still overshadowed by me. I had shown more promise before I had awakened my cursed technique. Now, it seemed, people were looking at Naoya to awaken his cursed technique. Since I knew he would inherit Naobito's projection sorcery, I think it's safe to assume I won't be the clan head anymore. Thank God. I can finally have more time to myself. Naoya might become more arrogant, so I could still try to keep him in check. So far, I have done a good job acting like a good older brother. Why do I even care about him at this point? Is it because he is my brother now? I can't explain it, but I have hated making him sad ever since I started being an older brother figure. I was supposed to ignore him and focus on the dangers of this world, but here I am, worrying about my little brother, who I would have gladly hated had he turned out the same way. You think you have it all figured out and have a goal you will strictly follow, but I'm only human. 2 years later, just like I predicted, I'm no longer the clan head of the Zenin clan. While I would be a prominent figure in Hei, I no longer had guards watching me 24/7. I primarily had assistants to take care of my needs. Naoya awakened his curse technique a year ago and, ever since then, has grown a small ego. I was still his older brother figure, and I still cared for him, so while he would talk down to some of the servants, he was all smiles when talking with me. I've developed my curse technique to the point where I've figured out how it functions compared to Mahoraga's adaptation. First, it is an ability I turn on and off rather than specific techniques. While I adapt to things, my cursed energy drains while adapting or already adapted to phenomena. The more complex it is, the more it is drained. When I turn my technique off, my adapted phenomena get deleted. The draining issue won't be a problem in the future because of the sheer amount of cursed energy I will have. Currently, if I were to guess, I have the amount of cursed energy Yuta had when he first entered Jujutsu High. The main issue that I was worried about was the burnout. If I use a domain and my technique gets burnt out, will all my phenomena get deleted until my technique returns? That is a dangerous thought for the future, but I still need to do some things. I was curious about how I seem to be getting stronger after some of my adaptations. My cursed energy is the cause of it. While adapting, my cursed energy flow changes to make me resistant and immune to a technique, so when my adaptation ends, my body remembers the flow change. It's extremely hard to pinpoint, but I believe that if I work at it in the future, I can manually turn on different techniques without having to adapt to them just by changing the flow of my cursed energy. I was thinking about learning the flow required for Infinity's adaptation when I meet Satoru for the first time, so I won't need to adapt every time I interact with him, but that's for future Naohiro. Right now, however, the first thing we will work on is your first clan technique. If you're going to join Hei, you need to understand some of the clan's techniques. This one is complex but necessary if you want to be useful to the clan. You've already disappointed us once, don't let it happen again. Now, Falling Blossom Emotion. Oji was currently teaching me my first anti-domain technique. Naobito will personally train Naoya to be the clan head, so I moved down towards Oji. While I hated his guts, Falling Blossom Emotion will be useful. If you weren't dealing with a sure kill domain, Falling Blossom Emotion was a valuable anti-domain technique since it works on countering the sure hit attack with equal power. I don't plan on becoming a swordsman, but that might be a possible avenue. I feel that Oji is trying to make me into a swordsman because it's his whole shtick. Fodder courage is the most boring technique Gidge came up with aside from the helicopter dude. I don't even remember his name, and I don't care to. I have no idea what he was smoking when he made that character. I was broken out of my thoughts when I heard Oji speak up. Shroud yourself in cursed energy like a blanket. Then, have your body counter the cursed energy by reacting to oncoming attacks. We will first use your body and then move on to the sword. Putting my hand forward, I expel cursed energy around my body and try to keep it attached, but it becomes wobbly and vanishes. It's a lot harder than it looks. I'm trying to hold it together, but it feels like I'm losing control as soon as it leaves my body. Just train on holding your cursed energy around your body for now. You already know internal reinforcement, but external use of cursed energy will open new doors for you. Wait a minute, I haven't worked on figuring out external uses of cursed energy yet. My technique is almost passive and hasn't needed to externalize it, so I haven't tried spreading cursed energy. This might be the perfect thing I need to get on the path of a domain expansion. I crack a smile and think Oji noticed, but I don't care. I would create a domain expansion even if I had to bleed to get there. Ha ha ha, I did it. I can hold a cloak of cursed energy outside of my body. It has only taken me a week to complete the basics and have Oji crush my accomplishment. Now you have a useless bubble surrounding you. If you're proud of that, you won't become a grade 1 sorcerer. I give him a side glare and try to ignore his taunting comments, but he's right. I still have a long way to go to become a grade 1. I'm only 7 years old, but that's beside the point. Now that he saw that I was paying attention to him, he said, "Since you seem to understand your situation, mold it. Make it sharp, like a sword, and feel your surroundings like the wind." Wow, that was cringe, but I shouldn't ignore someone with decades of Falling Blossom emotion experience. Now that I have control of the external cursed energy cloak, I can do whatever I want with it. Dealing with my massive pool of cursed energy has been problematic, but when I figure something out, I figure it out. Closing my eyes, I pour out some cursed energy and pull it tight onto my body, reinforcing it and making it sharper. I move my hand outward with 2 fingers raised in the area around me. I start to glow blue with an energy-like aura. So this is Falling Blossom Emotion, a technique that uses a cloak to counter any cursed energy. I feel powerful, but I know it isn't enough, not yet, not ever. This is just the first step into becoming a true Jujutsu sorcerer. How? Now, that's the face I wanted to see, the face he made when he saw Maki as Toji, the face of the fear of power and potential. I get it, From his perspective, I did something completely alien. It took me a week to learn the basics and a few minutes to get the full technique to work. Gojo saw it and replicated it almost instantly. If I couldn't do something similar, how would I come to match him? Like I said, when I figure something out, I figure it out. I can do almost anything as long as I can build the foundation with control over my cursed energy. Hey, old man, let's talk domains. That broke him out of his stupor. I knew he had no idea how to perform a domain expansion, but given his long life, even in his late 40s, he had to have picked up quite a bit of information on the peak of Jujutsu sorcery. Now that I think about it, he was pushing 60 when he had Maki and Mai. I respect the clan mentality, but that's a little strange. Ahem, very well. A simple domain is a technique that I am unfamiliar with. You might need to ask Dash. I gave him a deadpan stare. You know what I'm talking about. Stop rambling about a different anti-domain technique. You just taught me, Falling Blossom Emotion. Tell me everything you know about domain expansions. I will have one when I graduate from Jujutsu Tech, so I want to get information on them now. While learning a simple domain would be beneficial, I need to figure out how to perform domain expansions, especially since I just figured out how to shape external cursed energy. The last sentence would sound insane to anyone who hadn't just seen me perform Falling Blossom Emotion after a few minutes of practice. It wasn't even the technique that took me a week. The hard part was shaping cursed energy around my body. Domain expansions were the peak a person could reach in Jujutsu. Only a handful of people in each generation of sorcerers can perform a domain expansion, and even fewer have completed one. They were much more common during the Heian period since most were non-lethal domains, but modern Jujutsu is all about the damage it can do to a person, making them rare. Hikari and Higuruma are prime examples. They had an easier time performing a domain because they were non-lethal. If my domain is anything like theirs, I'll definitely have one by hidden inventory. Oji broke my train of thought by giving me a serious face and talking in a tone I'd never heard him speak in. Do not speak so casually of domain expansions. You might be talented, hell, the most talented person in this generation, but a proper domain expansion by 18 is but a fantasy. Have you wondered why Naohiro and I haven't opened a domain expansion? Because you guys aren't built like me. Oji only narrowed his empty eyes. My big mouth can get me into trouble with the formal society of Jujutsu. I unconsciously stepped back. Even the strongest sorcerers have pursued a domain and have come up empty-handed. It was my turn to give him a serious tone. I don't care about what you old bastards have had issues with. I'll get a domain whether you help me or not. He then did something I wasn't expecting. He drew his sword and slashed at me. What the hell? Cursed evolution. Slash. You assess Naohiro and me with your foolish standards. You had so much promise when you were born. Even I would have supported you as clan head had you not been cursed with that thing you call a cursed technique. I won't kill you, but I'll make you understand how big the world really is, you punk. Shit, that definitely is going to leave a mark tomorrow. I didn't think he would attack me, but it's Oji. He was going to kill his own daughters because he felt that they were nothing more than trash. What did I expect? Then I looked towards him to see him get into a stance. Falling Blossom Emotion. This is going to be tough. Clink slowly, my chest started to heal. Who knew my first real battle would be against a high-ranking Zenin member? Elsewhere, a man with short blonde hair was casually sitting down with a newspaper. He was a totally normal person you would see on the street. He didn't stand out from the crowd except for the odd stitches across his forehead. One would question why he hasn't covered them up when a head injury is healing, but the stitches weren't there for that reason. Behind him, standing still like a statue, was a white-haired person. Kenjaku. In a melodic tone, the stitched man, known as Kenjaku, replied, Yes, Yuram. May I ask why you are reading the newspaper for non-sorcerers? Let me ask you a question instead. Why not? You don't need to worry. Almost all of the seeds have been planted. Things today are much different than they used to be. It's fascinating. I'm sure you know that the most. With an ice-cold glare, Yuram replied, Sukuna's vessel has yet to be created. You know I am only working with you to ensure his revival. I'll dispose of you if you become worthless to him. Kenjaku glanced back, unworried at the threat. Sigh. I have a binding vow with him, so calm down. Mumble, the trouble I go through just for my plans. Yuram didn't seem reassured. Very well, but you know that if you wait too long and don't kill that six-eyes brat, he will get in the way. It appears that hit a nerve. I killed one in the past, which didn't change anything. Besides, I'll have access to the prison realm if he becomes an issue. I'm not just going to sit around and lose again. Ah, that reminds me, have you heard of the Zenin boy? Yuram pondered before saying, no, I don't think I have. In any era, I don't pay attention to nobodies. Well, this nobody happens to be the clan's prodigy, even if he isn't the clan head anymore. Those stupid Zenin. A shame that one of the big three clans is blind to potential. Yuram looked confused. What does that have to do with anything, and how do you know that? Kenjaku smiled. It just so happens the balance shifted when he was born. However, the six-eyes boy Satoru Gojo was born on the same day, so it's hard to tell if the world was telling us something. I noticed and made a mental note of him when researching the new six-eyes user. You don't seem convinced if you haven't discussed making plans to deal with him. You might not want to kill the six-eyes brat, but you should have no issue disposing of some random Zenin child. Tell me, Yuram, why didn't you propose that you would go deal with him? Yuram immediately replied, I have better things to worry about. While I would agree with you under normal circumstances, something about him intrigues me. Just in case, I'll create a failsafe if he also becomes a problem. He could be useful as a tool in the future. You never know when something that seems small might become a problem. Back to Naohiro. Damn it, why does Oji feel like a bigger issue than Kenjaku? It's Oji, of all people. Clink with that sound, call it instinct, but I could tell my body had made me resist slashing attacks. I need one or two more, and I'm good. That's unless my guts get spilled out before that happens. I see a slash coming diagonally from my shoulder, so I activate the technique I just learned. Falling Blossom Emotion. As the slash connects and digs into my shoulder, I feel the blade slow down and get bounced back due to the properties of Falling Blossom and my technique. Just a bit more until I can fold this man. However, clink. I win, you son of a bitch. Mahoraga-chan would like to know your location. My adaptation works in wonderful ways. As stated earlier, getting hit multiple times while keeping my technique active allows me to adapt continuously. Since Oji has only used basic swordsman techniques, they are ultimately slashes even in his Falling Blossom emotion state. While he said that he wouldn't kill me, I have a feeling that the attack I was just hit by would do more damage than Naobito has ever done to me. He comes in for another slash, and I attempt to dodge, but he uses his cursed energy in his sword, making it speed up and making me react too late. Instead of panicking like any normal person, I smirked as he unleashed a flurry of attacks, after which he sheathed his sword. Turning around, he ignored me, assuming I would get cut by 6 slashes like a typical anime swordsman. However, he realized something was wrong when he didn't hear me hit the floor, so he spun around to meet my fist 1 inch from his face. Wadash-bm. He got hit with the Naoya special. Getting smashed into the floor, he could spin and dodge my next attack, a knee to the ground. While strong, I didn't have the same physical strength as a freshly awakened Maki. Getting up with a broken nose and a bruised cheek, he gave me a nasty glare. So, your resistance in tandem with Falling Blossom emotion allowed you to survive my attacks? I didn't think you would be great at using a new technique. It seems I underestimated you. He was on track, but it wasn't my new anti-domain technique that kept me from getting slashed. Let's see you block this. Blazing Courage. He was so much faster that I felt like a newborn trying to outrun a varsity athlete. I didn't even have a chance to put my guard up before he was right before me. Kaboom sizzle. Blink. Ha. Too late. One of the main weaknesses of the adaptation technique. If you can get one shot by a technique, you're screwed. Everything went dark. 2 days later, opening my eyes, I noticed something strange about my surroundings. I'm at a terminal. Many seats surround me, and I look forward to seeing a large window in front of me. Moving towards it, I catch a reflection of myself. However, something is different. I looked like I had before I reincarnated. It was strange since the last thing I remember was getting cut down by Oji. Hold up. Oh shit. No. The airport in Jujutsu Kaisen is not just any normal airport. Turning around, I see Teen Gojo and all his dead friends. Gasp huff huff. I shot up from the bed I was currently in. Thank God, it was just a dream. Who knew Oji would go all out against me? Even when I had died, I still hadn't felt as close to death as I had been while getting cut by Oji. I heard a voice to my left. Wakey, wakey, brat. I knew that drunk's voice from anywhere. Naobito. Naobito looked somewhat offended. Couldn't call your old man dad at the very least? Sending him a side glance, I sigh. He smiled. Color me surprised when Oji dragged you into the main hall like a sack of potatoes covered in blood. The look on his face was priceless. Well, what was left of it? You really did a number on him. He continued, here's the thing, though, you should have died. The question is, why aren't you dead? I nonchalantly replied, as I've said before, I'm built different. Naobito didn't look amused. Being built differently doesn't explain your healing factor. You were completely unconscious, yet your body was visibly healing. I thought you were initially using a reverse cursed technique, but it was healing with cursed energy, which only curses do. Being made up of negative energy, curses use cursed energy to heal, but it's impossible for a sorcerer unless it has something to do with your technique. That last adaptation that I got when I was hit by blazing courage saved my butt. Had I gone unconscious and had my technique turned off before I had an adaptation, I would have died. Staring intently at me, he begins, you were hit by a full-power falling blossom emotion amplified by blazing courage by one of the hay. Now that it's phrased like that, I guess it is strange that I am still alive. I glare at him. Wow, this is the most I've heard you talk to me. You visit your son only when something happens regarding my technique, turning me away as soon as I'm not useful. Sigh. I know how you feel about our clan, but the Jujutsu Society thrives on power. I didn't mean to make it seem like I was abandoning you. Naoya needs my time more than you since, to stand as a big three family, politics is a necessity. I thought Oji could help you, but it seems I was wrong. PFT, obviously. I look at him with an, are you kidding me? Then, Naobito went completely serious. Now, tell me about this resistance you seem to get. Don't feed me bullshit and tell it to me straight. I wanted to keep this card in my back pocket, but having the possibility of learning from Naobito is a chance I don't want to slip away. Fine. My cursed technique, cursed evolution, works based on adaptation. I get hit with something, I start to adapt to it. After enough time, my body can nullify or resist certain attacks. He pondered for a bit. What does that have to do with your healing? I cut him off. I'm getting there. While I can adapt to certain attacks and phenomena, I also adapt to negative ailments, as I told you when I first explained my technique. When I got stabbed by blazing courage, my body adapted at the last second to heal my body before I passed out. Naobito's eyes widened. So it's not just resistance to cursed techniques. Given enough time, you can essentially nullify anyone's abilities. You could even counter our projection sorcery and the Gojo clan's limitless. Now that I told him that, I might have to become clan head again. That's how my technique works. He looked like a kid who just found out about fire for the first time. Fascinating. If this technique could be passed down, we could see a third great technique. Hey, what are your feelings about marriage? I hate dealing with this old man. No. His shoulders slumped. Sigh, unfortunate, but expected. Now that we have everything sorted out and Oji seems to want to do nothing with you, I'll be training you from now on. I'm busy enough as it is, if you waste my time, I'll send you to Oji again. When I grow capable enough, that old bastard is dead. However, I'll wait until Maki and Mai are born to not throw the timeline out of whack. I'll take care of him before Maki gets the chance. Naobito got up and started to leave the room. You know, Naoya has been progressing quite well lately. It might not be a bad idea for you two to spar. For publicity's sake, he will stay as the clan head, but I'm thinking of allowing you to become the leader of the Hei when you grow into a fine sorcerer. I ponder momentarily, I might just take you up on that. Naobito smiles and leaves the room. Like hell, I'll waste my time with the Hei. Screw you, clan geezers. I still haven't forgotten all those times you knocked me unconscious. Naoya. I'm Naoya, a genius of the Zenin clan. Only 2 people have matched up to me. The one who I know the best and have my sights set on is my brother Naohiro. I said I was a genius since I was unlike Naohiro. I have talent, projection sorcery, and the title of clan head, but I can't help but resent my inferiority to my brother. Don't get me wrong, I would do anything for him, but he is the mountain I need to climb. Recently, father has begun to train him once more since he nearly defeated Oji-sama. He put that old fart in his place. Just imagine what a few years are going to look like for him. I wouldn't be surprised if he surpasses father. While I see Naohiro as a mountain, he is the only person who hasn't treated me like a tool. The servants and annoyances are only there to use me. Even father wants me to take the mantle of clan head. While I could talk about my brother for another hour, I want to discuss the other annoyance. A few weeks ago, I met him. Who cares if he has some special eyes? At the clan meetings, the Gojo clan looked at the Kamo and us with pity. It pisses me off. They think of themselves as above everyone just because they got lucky and happened to have another prodigy after 400 years. He was born with everything: status, power, and looks. Naohiro is what a true prodigy looks like. He wasn't born with some invincible power that happens every few hundred years. He told me about his strong curse technique, but I can't help but think the Limitless and Six Eyes outclass it. It's unfair. I'll train and show that blue-eyed freak that he isn't all that much in the grand scheme of things. I'll show him he is weak. We have a tournament every few years to determine the clan standings. Obviously, the big 3 clans are always at the top, but the order changes every tournament. I'll make it to the finals and embarrass that thing in front of his entire family. Naohiro, I haven't talked to Naoya in a while. I hope he isn't developing Yandra-like tendencies or anything. Now, on to working with Naobito. I asked him to work with me on domain expansion since Oji threw a fit when I brought up the idea. Thankfully, Naobito is my father, which makes learning from him more manageable. I learned the basics, and as I thought, the external use of cursed energy similarly used in Falling Blossom emotion is the same way barrier techniques are created. He taught me curtain, which I picked up after a few tries. It was one of the most simple barrier techniques since it didn't require someone to imbue an innate technique. To say he was shocked was an understatement. He trained with me in the past, but only with cursed energy reinforcement and physical ability. He hasn't seen me learn different techniques. I thought explaining my technique to Naobito was a bad idea since giving out knowledge of my technique could be spread negatively, but now that he knew what I could do, we could train more effectively. He was actually using projection sorcery on me. Being punched and feeling like you shattered like glass is something that no one should experience, but ever since he found out that I could adapt and heal, he slowly stopped pulling his punches. After a few hits, I could adapt to projection sorcery, but when he realized he couldn't freeze me, I received a heavy blow, turning off my technique and resetting my adaptation. Getting hit by a peak grade 1 sorcerer made me throw up on the training ground when he hit me in the stomach. How Oji thought he was comparable to him is a joke. The primary technique I worked on was pinpointing the adaptation to activate the adapted phenomena manually. For example, say I adapt to projection sorcery. I memorize the flow when I adapt and replicate it using cursed energy control to skip that step altogether. It was a long shot, but if I managed to get it, the weakness of losing phenomena would be gone. Even if I burnt out my cursed technique, got hit by domain amplification, or was stabbed by the inverted spear of heaven, if it wasn't held in my body, I could keep up my adaptations. 1 year later now, I am 8 years old and can perform barrier techniques. I can create a solid bubble barrier without imbuing an innate technique. A pseudo-domain expansion. It's completely useless against real domains since it doesn't cancel the sure hit or be able to clash. It is primarily for trapping opponents since it has the strength rules of being strong on the inside and weak on the outside. Naoya is officially 7 years old and will be entering the clan standings tournament. The clan tournament didn't happen years ago when I was still the clan head since my position in the clan was complicated, and the new Six Eyes user didn't join. The Kumo clan isn't participating because it doesn't yet have anyone in the next generation of clan leaders. They'll participate in the next one. It seems like Naoya will face Satoru Gojo as his first real opponent. I've come to terms with the fact that I care about my little brother. It might sound like blasphemy even to entertain the idea of caring for someone like Naoya, but he's changed, and we get along great. I'm going to root for Naoya, but I can't help but feel like he will get embarrassed in front of Jujutsu society. I have noticed that he seems to be developing the arrogance he had in the main timeline, but I do not intend him to be a cliché young master. If Naoya loses, I'll punch Gojo's smug smile off when we meet at Jujutsu Tech. I need to talk to Naoya about his upcoming fight against Gojo. If he can't get past the Limitless or wear him out, he will look like an idiot trying to punch the air. The tournament is scheduled a week from now, so we still have some time to work on a technique. There are a few ways to get past the Limitless. 1. Overpower it with domain amplification. 10. There isn't enough time to teach him an advanced technique like domain amplification. 2. Domain expansion for a sure hit. 10. 3. Curse tool, ISO. 10. 4. Attacking space itself. Big X. 5. Adaptation. 10. 6. Running him out of cursed energy. 10. 7. Making him drop the technique due to stamina. Oh. The only viable one that works for Naoya is to find a way to drain his stamina to the point of exhaustion. He has nearly unlimited cursed energy due to the 6 eyes, which makes the tactic of running him out of cursed energy off the table. Looking around the compound to find Naoya, I run into Naobito in the halls. Naobito, have you seen Naoya anywhere? I need to talk to him about something. Squinting at me, he smirks. Maybe if you call me by my title of clan head, lord, or father, I'll tell you. What the hell? You're the clan head of one of the big 3 clans. Why do you care about something like that? He raises his chin. I guess you won't find out where Naoya is then. Damn old man. I move my mouth, but I can't help but gag. Lord. Are you happy, you old geezer? He smirks. Thank you, Naohiro. Naoya is in the compound warehouse training for his upcoming tournament. I was on my way back to him. Would you like to join me? Glaring at him, I consider giving him the finger but hold myself back. Phew. He knows what he is doing. Calm down, Naohiro. Now that I have calmed down, I reply, yeah, I need to tell him a few things about the Gojo kid. What have you been teaching him for the tournament? Sending me a glance, he responds, projection sorcery at its highest level can make someone fast enough to seem like they have teleported. I'm in the midst of teaching him how to use projection sorcery to raise his speed to the maximum. There is only one issue with the Gojo brat. I knew where he was going. Limitless. Naobito closes his eyes for a moment. Yes, the technique that can make one nigh untouchable. In the hands of the 6 eyes, the person becomes invincible to all but the highest Jujutsu sorcery. It would be troublesome if I didn't have my adaptation. I would have to learn domain amplification and/or domain expansion to get past his first layer of defense, let alone deal with curse technique amplification, blue. I do not doubt that he will have a basic version even at 8 years old. I get snapped out of my thoughts when Naobito speaks up. This will be the ultimate lesson he will learn as a Jujutsu sorcerer. Some hurdles are impossible to overcome. Everyone has limits, and people are born stronger than others. It's how the foundation of this world was built. I snapped at him. What, are you kidding me? You aren't even trying to help him bypass it. You're just going to let him get thrashed in front of all the big clans. He looked at me seriously. Eventually, you will need to learn this lesson as well. Jujutsu sorcery isn't a smooth path. Every corner can get you killed. Jujutsu sorcery isn't fun. Naohiro. Friends die, family dies. This is one of the first times I have genuinely been pissed off. Well, clan head, I have no intention of letting my brother be humiliated by a crowd of people. I thought you were different than Oji. It looks like I was wrong. Sigh. He will have to learn it one way or another. Naobito said to himself. Stomping off towards the warehouse, I realized that I'm acting childish. I knew all along that while getting strong, learning new techniques, and calling out domain expansion is interesting, this world is messed up. Gij is truly making this place a nightmare for people. Nanami told Yuji never to compare himself to Gojo. Gojo is a freak of nature that shifted the balance of the world. The only person strong enough to fight him was the strongest sorcerer in history. However, I have to surpass him. There is no being relative or living inside of his shadow. I was given these wishes to use them, and I'm not going to throw them away. I've been too slow, too hard-headed, and too weak. I tilt my head to cover my face. Damn it. With Naoya. Huff huff. I'm not fast enough. While I can keep up with Naohiro when he uses his normal speed, my projection sorcery isn't enough to rival him when he uses cursed energy. Naoya turns his head to the side as he hears a set of doors open. Hey, Naoya. He looked a little irritated that I interrupted him while training, but I needed to be here for him if he would stand a chance against Gojo. Naoya turns his head back towards whatever he is doing and replies with a serious face, I'm busy right now. Come back later, I need to prepare. I look slightly sad before turning my face back to normal. That's why I'm here. You can move around with projection sorcery all you want, but you'll need my help to overcome Satoru Gojo's limitless technique. He didn't look convinced. I have father training me. I'd rather rely on him. Now, if that is all you came for, please leave. I give him a serious look. Naoya, father wants you to fail to learn a lesson. I talked to him earlier, and the last thing I want to see is you losing. He snapped his eyes to me. I'm not going to lose. I'll beat that blue-eyed freak and show you. Show everyone I can stand alongside you as one of the strongest. I have to remember he is but a child. I need to change my approach to this. I think for a moment before speaking. Tell you what, if you can land a single hit on me in 5 minutes, I'll leave you alone for father to finish his teachings. However, if you lose, you listen to me. I'll help you beat that blue-eyed freak. Naoya gritted his teeth. Looking at him intently, I tell him, Naoya, I'm here for you. You aren't alone. Jujutsu sorcery involves death and suffering. Even if you become the strongest, all you will see is loneliness. I'm your brother, not your friend nor your servant. Let's beat him, together. Naoya closed his eyes for a minute before opening them with newfound resolve. Fine, but if I win the bet, you make me breakfast for the next 2 weeks. I smile. Deal. We both get into our respective stances. Usually, asking not to get hit by a projection sorcery user would be stupid. All they have to do is touch you to make you follow their 24 frames a second. Even if I were to block one of his attacks, he could freeze me, giving him time to attack me. How am I planning on dealing with it? Let's say that I didn't only figure out how to create an empty domain. Even though he is annoying, Naobito gave me massive confidence for one reason. Shink. Click. Projection sorcery adapted. I pinpointed the subtle changes in my cursed energy when my adaptation occurred with my training with Naobito. Now, I can use it on the fly whenever I adapt to something and remember it. Now Naoya has to hit me only using his fists. I smile, falling blossom emotion. I know that I am going overboard, but I need to make it clear to Naoya that I am here to help. As I activate my techniques, Naoya rushes forward, spreading his palm. While fast, I push his arm to the side, grab it, and throw him over my shoulder, crashing into one of the walls. The perk of falling blossom emotion on a fast technique is that it counters with equal force. There is a reason why it works on sure hit techniques and makes for a great anti-domain. Getting up and sharpening his gaze, Naoya suddenly had his speed explode. So this is Naoya's usage of projection sorcery. It's very different from Naobito. He is still a child, so it makes sense, but Naobito uses it to make unnatural movements that are almost impossible to predict. Naoya, however, is predictable. Projection sorcery requires the user to follow the 24 frames no matter what, so as long as you know where they will be in which frame, you can do this. I put my foot out into the air, and not even half a second later, Naoya ran into my foot at high speed. As my foot connects to his stomach, he goes flying and vomits a bit. Bleh. Since he is supposed to hit me and not just be a one-sided beatdown like usual, I stand in the same place and talk to him. You're predictable. You move forward with your right foot every 2 frames and hop with your left every frame. Having people be able to read you will get you killed since you have to follow your projection. While I am adapted to projection sorcery, I can't stop him from using it. I only have the immunity of not being forced to follow 24 frames if I make contact with his palm. Since he is still lying down, I give him another piece of advice. While the laws of physics need to be followed with projection sorcery, they are very vague and can sometimes be bent to allow for unpredictable movement. It took Naoya a full minute to get up from that one attack. Satoru Gojo will have the 6 eyes and will have an easier time seeing your frames than I do. Under the current circumstance, there is no way for you to bypass his infinity. Until you learn technique nullifying techniques, you'll need to rely on alternative methods. It seemed like he understood me since he started sprinting around me quickly. If he's required to follow frames and I can see where he's going, I can do the same thing and attack him where he will appear. It's either that, or he gets frozen for 1 second. As he sprints around me, I constantly follow him with my eyes to see when he will sprint forward. Something I noticed was that he was getting faster. I'm not sure I could keep up with him without using cursed energy anymore. When he reaches a speed I've never seen him reach, he shoots off his right foot to get close to me. I see him reach his palm out to touch my shoulder. I grab his wrist before it makes contact and see him warp unnaturally. He was too close and shot up his speed by using projection sorcery at close range. However, instead of catching him mid-frame, he could tap me on the 3rd frame with his palm for a microsecond, which gets countered by Falling Blossom emotion. He loses control, and when he ends his frame cycle, he tumbles and crashes into the wall for the 3rd time. He gets up instantly, looking for his older brother to be frozen in a frame, but he didn't expect that even if he was fast enough to get back to me, I wouldn't be frozen in the first place. Naoya was dumbfounded. How did you avoid becoming a frame? I felt contact, and Falling Blossom emotion shouldn't have stopped it, unless you followed the 24 movements. I smile at him. Nope, I countered it by using my super strong technique. Now that you realize you can't hit me, it's time to end this. I clap my hands together. Pseudo-domain expansion, empty bubble. A large black barrier gets formed and engulfs Naoya. And with that, I win. After I trap Naoya in my empty bubble, I snicker as I hear, muffled. Let me out, you jerk. Oh my goodness, this is hilarious. I can't hear you. The muffled voice gets a lot louder. Fine, I give up, asshole. Men, this will be some great blackmail in the future, but I should stop tormenting him. It's just another older brother thing. I unclasp my hand, which causes the black orb to shatter. It brings forward a very upset-looking Naoya. Man, I feel kind of bad now. Sorry for messing around with you. I shouldn't have gone that far. I was impressed. You were able to get a full palm on me to get off the projection sorcery. It would have worked on anyone else. I'll make you breakfast tomorrow. See you then. Pulling domain pieces out of his hair, he replies, oh my goodness, I think some of it got in my mouth. But yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Now, let's see how far Naoya can go. It was rough, but we got Naoya to be the best he could be with the time we had. Even after a week of working on projection sorcery and a new technique, he still wasn't ready. I like him and will be there for everything, but I know. He doesn't stand a chance. Naoya might be some genius, but Satoru was an entirely different beast. It pisses me off since I genuinely do like Satoru because he becomes the symbol of sorcerers, but like Toji, different circumstances make this much different. I tried my best to doubt Naobito's words and find some random anime shounen power-up for Naoya. However, without a way to bypass Limitless, despite the fact that he has been training for longer and is the greatest genius of this generation, I know he will get destroyed. I haven't seen Satoru in person, but if the rumors are anything to go by, it isn't looking good for anyone on the opposite side of the ring. I want to tell him to pull out of the tournament since it wouldn't be the first time. The Kumo clan wasn't even in the running this year. With all the work we put into training for this, he wouldn't back down. I gave him something I shouldn't have. Hope. Hope that he might be able to stand with the strongest sorcerers of the generation, only to have it ripped away in front of him in front of Jujutsu society. I messed up. Bad. Theoretically, a small clan can eliminate Satoru from the tournament before he reaches the finals, but God knows there is no way in hell he isn't making it there. The only two promising clan candidates are Satoru and Naoya, both of whom outclass the rest of the fodder. It wouldn't even be an entertaining fight. The only fight people care about is Naoya versus Gojo, but it won't be a contest even then. Tomorrow morning is the big day and the day that I have been dreading, even if I am not the one fighting. It should have been me in there beating Satoru's butt. I could have talked to Naohiro about changing me to the fighter instead, but now it's my fault that Naoya will get humiliated. I wonder if I can adapt to stress. The next day, we are actually at some formal Japanese compound. I wasn't familiar with this place since it wasn't shown in the series, but there was a massive circular arena with seats lined on the edges, sort of like the Roman Colosseum but more Japanese-inspired. Clans from all over Japan were there, but I didn't recognize a single one. It's fair to say that they didn't win anything or contribute to the story. Naoya, Oji, Naobito, me, Chojuro, Jinichi, and a few others that I didn't bother remembering were here. Only a few members of each clan could be present for some reason. It probably has something to do with the importance of such an event. They needed what essentially was a background check on each person who came into the area. Oji was staring daggers at me, but I ignored him since I had bigger problems. On the left side of the arena was a group of white-haired, noble-looking people. There was a small person in that crowd of people. I couldn't see their face, but I knew who that was. After a little while, he made his appearance out of the group. Yep, blue eyes, short white hair, around 8 years old. Math and description check out. What startled me was that he was staring straight at me. So those are the 6 eyes. I saw him widen his eyes before narrowing them and returning to his group. It's surreal that the same Gojo we see in the story is this proper noble right now. I don't know when, but I assume he will change into his goofy persona in a few years. He is more mature now than he was at 28. Our group didn't speak to each other while we were here. The atmosphere was rough, even for someone like Naobito. My thoughts get broken when 2 people are called down to the arena, both mobs that no one cares about. A few minutes later and nothing special happened. They were as strong as a high grade 3. After the bout ended, nobody cheered or made noise. The next thing we knew, another pair of clan candidates was called to the arena. The next 3 matches were some of the most boring fights I've ever seen. Sakura vs. Ino was more entertaining than these bums. However, Gojo Satoru was called up to the stage against a random fodder. I watched intently to see what the kid could do at his age. To say it was a massacre would be an understatement. The random kid rushed in just to get smashed into the arena wall. With a neutral face, he walked back up to the stands. Naoya and Gojo had 3 more matches to win before they reached the finals. To no one's surprise, they both cleared them easily. Now, after training for a long time and both being called geniuses in their own way, Naoya stared down Satoru. Right before the match began, Satoru had something to say. I forfeit. Huh? The whole stadium went silent before going insane. Why would the Gojo prodigy forfeit a match he was almost guaranteed to win? He continued. The only reason I came to this stupid thing was to fight Naohiro, not this bum in his shadow. If I'm not fighting him, then I forfeit. Naoya looked pissed. I didn't win these fights just to get turned down by you. You scared, punk. Satoru didn't seem bothered by Naoya. I'm not even remotely scared of you. After all, you're pretty weak. That set me off. I didn't spend my time training someone to have them called weak. I ran past the ledge and jumped down into the arena. I really don't want to do this. Jumping in to take his spotlight is something an asshole would do, but I'll worry about that later. Naoya can hate me all he wants if it means punching this kid. I promised to bash your face in when we met at Jujutsu Tech, but I guess plans don't work out. Satoru looked at me and smiled. Now that's more like it. Sorry, Naoya, let me take this one. Satoru Gojo, I am going to be the strongest. That is the sentence that I have heard all throughout my life. I was born with the 6 eyes and the limitless technique, which hasn't been seen in hundreds of years. I am an unmatched prodigy with everything at my disposal. I was born into a wealthy clan with access to professional sorcerers who can help me grow. So, why do I feel unfulfilled? People either treat me as fragile as a porcelain doll or have nothing but fear in their eyes. No one has been able to understand the feeling of the world on your shoulders. Nothing less than the strongest. That is my fate. It hurts, even surrounded by my own family, I feel nothing but solitude. I'm sick and tired of being used. The Gojo clan sees me as an accomplishment and something important that they had a hand in making, even though it was only luck. My family doesn't see me as their child but as a helpful tool to help them rise to the top of Jujutsu society. I might be the strongest in the future, but I feel like I am the weakest, shackled by my duty of being the strongest. I'm done acting like their tool. I'll run around, smile, laugh, and eat all the sweets I want. Screw the old fools and their traditions. If I become the strongest, I'll ensure that no one will ever feel as alone as I am. While I have been fed this throughout my life, I couldn't help but think about the Zenin clan's prodigy, Naohiro. Like me, he was born on the day that shifted the balance between curses and sorcerers. Our existence managed to change the balance of the world. I knew that there was the possibility that everything was convenient and these thoughts were useless, but I couldn't help but hope. Maybe there was someone who could understand me. And so, I decided to tag along with my family to attend one of the annual clan meetings. I ended up with nothing but disappointment when I found out that his brother had replaced him as the clan candidate. Just by looking at what was his name again? Anyway, I could tell that he wouldn't be like me. He couldn't understand me, so I ignored him and thought about the future. I had to meet him to see if he was like me. Then I heard about the clan standings tournament, which occurs every few years when new candidates are chosen. The tournament's goal was to determine the place each clan held. I didn't participate in the last tournament because my family was too busy training me to be their pawn, so they were surprised when I asked to. They keep a leash on me just enough to make it feel like I have choices. I hoped that Naohiro would be there to finally meet the one born on the day of balance. My disappointment was immeasurable, and my mood was ruined when I learned that the other kid would be competing instead of him. Since I would be participating, I assumed that he would find a way to compete rather than have his brother be embarrassed. I wouldn't lose, not then, much less to a third-rate like him. Now that I am at the tournament, I can't just walk out when the high-ranking clan members are looking at me with high expectations. I'm at the level of a semi-grade 1 in pure cursed energy control and physical ability, so while I am strong and will undoubtedly be able to defeat the entire clan simultaneously, I can't do much against sorcerers out of my pay grade. It's only a matter of time before I break the chain they have around my neck. Now that I was here, I discovered that the Zenin clan would be in the second section of the arena, so I patiently waited until I saw him. My 6 eyes couldn't believe what they were seeing. The amount of cursed energy he has. Is he a child? I narrowed my eyes before looking back and listening to my clan's empty words about how I'd win this farce. I didn't even need to use cursed energy to get past all the nobodies who wouldn't even make a grade 1 sorcerer. Then, I stood across from him. Not the one person I wanted to fight, but the one living inside of his shadow. I was mad and insulted. Can no one see that Naohiro is stronger than this bum? I'm done. This was a massive waste of time. If the clan wants me to win, I'll ensure that doesn't happen. I forfeit. This was the turning point for me. This was when I decided enough was enough. Everyone looked confused, which is understandable, but initially, I didn't want to explain myself since I thought the reason was pretty straightforward. You're pretty weak. I was surprised since that seemed to get a reaction out of Naohiro. He jumped down, and we were finally face to face. I haven't been this excited since I figured out Infinity. Now that's more like it. This was the last chance I had to see if I would be alone for the rest of my life. I wasn't going to hold back anything. I'll win. Naoya spoke up. Naohiro, what are you doing? This is my fight. I glanced back at him. Naoya, as much as it pains me to say this, you aren't ready for him. The last thing I want to see is you get smashed in front of the Jujutsu society. He snapped back. What you're doing is embarrassing to me. We worked for a full week to help me beat him, and you're going to take that away from me. Naoya. He looked to be on the verge of tears. When you said we would beat him together, I didn't mean for you to steal this from me. I worked so hard. I want nothing more than to be able to reach your height, but am I really this worthless? I don't know what to tell him. What I am doing is spitting in his face. I've always seen this happen in stories, which never turns out well. You never win in this scenario, even if I beat Satoru. Satoru spoke up. I'm not planning on fighting you anyway. Like I said, I'm out of here if Naohiro doesn't take this. I send him a glare. Not helping. A representative of the clan tournament came down to the field and spoke up. If Satoru Gojo refuses the fight against Naoya Zenin, he will be disqualified, and Naoya Zenin will win the tournament. Putting his hands on his sides, Gojo replied. Sure, who cares about some stupid clan rankings anyway? Get off the field, you goon. With that said, the representative announced. Due to the refusal to fight, Satoru Gojo has been disqualified, and Naoya Zenin wins the bout, making him the champion. Yawning, the entire crowd booed and started throwing things at Satoru. However, the items never reached him. When did this become a football game? Where is the class and formal atmosphere that was shown 5 minutes ago? I guess everyone was excited to see Satoru win this thing. Satoru spoke back up while looking in Naoya's general direction. Now that this tournament is over, can we fight? Smirk. Naohiro. He called me out, purposely making it sound melodic, taunting Naoya. Naoya made a move and did something completely unexpected, using projection sorcery to shoot himself towards Satoru with his foot out, ready to kick his head off. Satoru yawned again, obviously for dramatic effect. Too slow. While Naoya was moving fast, Satoru grabbed his foot mid-frame and threw him across the arena with one arm. Naoya flipped and landed on the arena, stopping his crash into the wall. As he was flung, his projection ended, allowing for fluid movement. It was one of the things that we worked on during his training. Naoya had hatred in his eyes. You. Satoru smiled and pointed to himself. Yes, me. Then he said something not even evil Naoya would say. I'm gonna kill you, Satoru Gojo. What the hell did I do to this Naoya? While I said I would take this fight for him, Naoya needs it, and I shouldn't steal it from him. I know it is hypocritical and goes against the original plan. The thing that I hated the most was that Naobito was right. Naoya ran around the arena, creating a dust tornado before launching at Satoru from out of his blind spot. Got him, thought Naoya. Satoru turned around with a crazed smile on his face that would make a child scream. He looked him in the eyes and spoke. Curse technique lapse, blue. Naoya was dragged towards Satoru, messing up his momentum before Satoru charged his fist with cursed energy and punched him in the stomach. Naoya's eyes went white, and he passed out. Even though he was holding back, Naobito hasn't hit me that hard. The raw punch wasn't what I was referring to. The combination of blue, Naoya's speed, and a cursed energy strike was enough to rival one of Naobito's punches, the one who was at the peak of grade 1. He is the border between grade 1 and special grade. The thing about the current Naobito is that he is stronger than his older counterpart. What a damn monster. I'll need to use some of my adaptations and adapt to his technique quickly, or I'll be in some serious trouble. I knew that he would lose, but I didn't think it would be this bad. He didn't use infinity a single time. Satoru turned towards me. He, now that the nuisance is out of the way, let's get started, shall we? Jujutsu sorcerers are never mentally stable, but you wouldn't think this is the same Satoru from before. I look at Naobito, and he nods his head before quickly teleporting to Naoya, picking him up, and bringing him out of the arena. Oji merely glanced at Naoya before scoffing. What did he think was going to happen? The representative was about to say something, but Naobito quickly stopped him and removed him from the arena. I spoke up. I wanted to doubt Naobito's words about Naoya, that there are heights that one can't reach. You were born with the 6 eyes and limitless, instantly making you at the top of the totem pole. Even so, I'm going to enjoy this. Satoru widened his smirk and got into a serious stance. Taking a deep breath, I smile. I'm going to rip you in half. I mirrored him aside from my hand being pushed out further. Falling blossom emotion. Shink, click healing shink, click slashes, thanks OG, shink, click reinforced muscles. I have more adaptations, but they are useless against him. Now. I stare him down, and while he's smiling, I see he will treat me seriously. Then. Whoosh. Satoru might have seemed like he teleported to an average non-sorcerer, but a sorcerer could see that he simply used his raw physical strength to shoot off toward me. When he reaches me, I raise my hand to block but get confused. Pap. I caught his hand with great difficulty. However, I was able to touch him. He isn't using infinity? No, he wants to feel me out. Even though he doesn't know this, I've got to adapt to his infinity quick to prevent future issues. Getting it done early will put me ahead. Giving a smile of my own, I lock on his hand before attempting to throw him. He throws a kick to the side of my stomach, to which I bring my left hand down to block. Bam! It's heavy. I go flying, roll twice, and bounce back up. I feel my arm put itself back in place. For some reason, Falling Blossom emotion didn't activate. The thing about Satoru is that he can pump as much cursed energy as he wants into himself since he has a nigh unlimited amount if it doesn't burn out. I've never tried this before, but let's see how high I can go. If I am not able to match him in close quarters with my current strength, let's make this more interesting. Boom. To anyone watching, they would see a massive amount of energy explode from my body. I'll make myself able to match him in strength. Damn it, it hurts, however. Clink. Normally, one would need to take the steps required to improve their reinforcement slowly but with adaptation. I can skip that altogether. It took me many years to reach the peak of cursed energy reinforcement, and I can force my way to the grade 1 level of reinforcement. Obviously, it's not as effective since my base strength hasn't reached that level quite yet, but it's a fantastic start. This time, I rush towards him. His eyes widen a little before sharpening, and he meets me in the middle of the arena. Our forearms clash, sending dust flying. Suddenly, I feel my arm slowly get pushed back by an invisible force. Satoru gave me his trademark smile. He finally dropped his noble persona. Thank you, I truly mean that. You are one of the people I can truly go all out on. Now, I wonder, can you understand me? I smile at him back but get somewhat confused at his last statement. Clink. Thanks, Satoru, that's one. Satoru's smile drops before he reinforces himself further and sends me away. The force of infinity slows me down, and his strength overpowers mine. Something is different. His cursed energy has changed, Satoru thought as he narrowed his eyes. He sends me away, but I quickly boost back towards him. I plan on breaking that wall long before he figures out my technique. I give my own wicked smile as I get close to interacting with infinity. However, Satoru speaks softly, cursed technique lapse, blue. Suddenly, I am pulled and sent flying past him, crashing into the arena wall. Clink. That hurt bad, but I have one adaptation for infinity and one for blue. My adaptation heals my body faster than it has before. My eyes widen. No way, my adaptations can get stronger. Under normal circumstances, I would have encountered this before, but does it have something to do with fighting in real battles? I get a surprised look from Satoru. Is that a reverse curse technique? The flow of your body has been changing this whole time. I'm unfamiliar with positive energy, but your body does something completely different than normal reinforcement or resistance. It's odd since I've been trying to do it since I saw it and can't get close to completing it. It's surreal, me, of all people. He smiles again. Well, whatever, I'll figure it out eventually, and when I do, I'll win. It makes sense, Satoru hasn't interacted with the reverse curse technique yet, so he's wondering if he can replicate me. He was able to do it for Falling Blossom emotion. I can't help but snicker. Well, mister. I'll win. I'd like to see you try. I get back up and run towards him. However, after my adaptation, he has no intention of letting me get close again. Once again, Satoru speaks. Curse technique lapse, blue. I get pulled, but, clink, I stop getting flung towards him. Satoru looks more surprised than he has before. What? You resisted blue. I laugh a bit. Not exactly, but I'll give you points for trying. Then, I took advantage of the 0.5-second stun he had to move my hand towards his face. It slowed down and didn't reach him. Clink. That's two. Since the only thing I decided to do was get close, I was left open to a punch to my face. The punch was strong, but not stronger than the blue from earlier. His infinity was still active. Clink. That's three. One more before I adapt to his cursed technique and win this thing. Using the momentum of getting hit, I spin for a kick, aiming at his head before he blocks it and gets sent flying. I notice something strange. After tumbling a few times, he stood up with a trail of blood going down the side of his face. He stopped using infinity. Satoru smiled. I thought it was strange. Whenever you touched my barrier, your cursed energy shifted to match it, nullifying it. I needed one more. He continued. Now I know your whole gimmick, I'll end you before you get the chance to ignore my infinity. I quipped back. You think you got me all figured out, Blue Eyes? He tilted his head to the side. Probably not, but I always figure things out. I give him a serious look. It's time to end this thing. Closing his eyes briefly, Satoru responds before snapping them back open. You're right, I finally see. You might be the one who can understand me. Let's finish this, Naohiro Zenin. Satoru maximizes his limitless technique, amping it to the point of a thin blue barrier surrounding him. I pour more cursed energy into my body than I ever have, to the point where my skin starts to peel. I screamed back. It's time to put you in your place, Satoru Gojo. We rush at each other. Running towards Satoru, time seemed to slow down. I had been moving faster than I had ever been. As I am now, I'm sure I could avoid Oji's sword strikes, but why does everything seem slow? The only thing I see in front of me is the future strongest sorcerer of the modern age. I notice my cursed energy output shoots even higher. However, nothing seems to change with my control. As we met in the middle, we both threw a fist, and while it was fast, everything was slow enough for me to move my head to the side of his fist. I didn't notice it at first, however, my fist started to have black sparkles mixed into it. I meet his amplified limitless. Clink. He didn't notice fast enough, given his eyes widened too late. No matter how much he wanted to amplify it, I already had 3 clicks of adaptation, making this the 4th. He had no choice but to engage in direct combat. I had already adapted to blue. He couldn't access any of the other limitless abilities, red, purple, or infinite void, and didn't have the reserves to match mine. With that, my fist goes straight through the limitless like butter. BZT crackle. I see. Black Flash. Black Flash, the technique that squares the attack potency by 2.5 times, is something of a phenomenon that most sorcerers will never accomplish in their lifetime. To most, it is a technique based solely on chance, but in some circumstances, it can be used when a sorcerer ignores all useless thoughts and, in rare cases, is used consecutively. Boom. My fist connects with his face and creates a massive shockwave, sending him flying. I started to drool on myself, but I didn't care. I couldn't see anything around me other than an unconscious Satoru Gojo with a massive fist imprint on his left cheek. Ultimately, it didn't matter how high he pushed his limitless when I could adapt. Ever since I received the 4th click, it decided the match. While Satoru Gojo is a prodigy skilled at controlling cursed energy, I could push more cursed energy than he could due to the sheer mass of energy radiating from my body. Sorcerers are born with a fixed amount of cursed energy. However, given the sheer amount of energy that would have been in my body due to the wish of Sukuna's reserves, it was held back until the vessel could handle it. I usually wouldn't be ready to handle such quantities, but I forced my body to break. My body could finally handle being filled with nigh infinite cursed energy. I had finally reached Sukuna in cursed energy reserves. I managed to beat the strongest. A few seconds later, the cursed energy surrounding me vanished, and I felt my body go limp. Clink. My adaptation started to kick in. Clink. As my eyes started to close, I was jolted up and caught myself from falling. I started to breathe heavily and was knocked out of whatever high I was in. I audibly let out a gasp. What the actual hell was that? My right hand was almost unrecognizable but was quickly turning back to normal, as was the burned skin on my body. I feel twice, maybe more, times stronger than I did before. My cursed energy reserves were through the roof, I was amplified by a black flash, and I was in the zone. After being snapped out of whatever mood I was just in, I smiled and started to laugh. Ha ha ha, I did what many would dream of doing. I knocked that stupid smirk off his face. Yeah, he'd lose. After snickering for another few minutes, Naobito grabbed me on the shoulder. Looking over to the Zenin group, I saw each of their faces. Naoya was awake and staring at nothing. Oji looked like he aged another 100 years. Junichi and Chojuro narrowed their eyes at me. I then looked up at Naobito to see him with the biggest shit-eating grin I've ever seen. Damn, old child-abusing drunk geezer. The entire arena was completely silent, including the goon from before, who had wanted to step in ever since the match started. Then, a group of white-haired nobles walked over to our group. One man who looked like a cultivation novel villain spoke up. This is a direct violation of the non-aggression agreement. While it would have been acceptable if they had met in the tournament, the Zenin child taunted and assaulted the Gojo's heir. Sigh. How many cliché villains will I run into in this world? Either that or this dude has a stick a few feet up his rear. Naohiro started taunting them back, but I tuned them out. It's not my problem since I don't plan on staying in this clan for the long term. There are too many unknown factors that I need to worry about before getting involved in clan politics. Then it hit me. What have I done? I just beat up the limitless Six Eyes user. I revealed to the world my potential to interfere with certain people's plans. Kenjaku is going to be on my butt now. Damn it, why did I jump in? While it's nice, I got much stronger. This will seriously backfire. If Kenjaku didn't have plans for me before, he sure as hell will make some now. I'm not a child. Well, not mentally, at least, and I acted like a complete dumbass. I was so blinded by Naoya that I didn't think about the repercussions of my actions. This isn't a world of heroes and villains. Machinations are being planned that can destroy the world, and here I am, ripping away the chance to survive. It's not enough. I need to get even stronger. I might be 8 years old, but I'm going to need to complete my domain expansion and reverse curse technique as soon as possible. Since I know my adaptations can be strengthened, I can start incorporating training into the current adaptations, such as healing. I will need to get it to reverse curse technique levels of fast. I wished for adaptation for a reason. I haven't been using it nearly to its fullest potential. This fight alone showed me how much I don't know about my own curse technique. By the time I reach Jujutsu Tech, I'll be a special grade. That isn't my goal but my promise. I'll beat Toji, keep Geto away from Kenjaku, save Riko, and awaken Satoru. I'll become the strongest person not only in the modern era but in all of history. Not even the king of frauds himself will be enough to kill me. Time to get to work. 3.5 years later. Sigh. How unfortunate to have died so young and before she could have her first child. To most people, she would be dead, but to the foolish, they would be overjoyed to see their wife come back home after such a tragic fate. I have performed experiments with the death paintings, but this event is entirely different. I was going to create a future vessel for Ryaman Sukuna. The king of curses, Ryaman Sukuna, is the strongest Jujutsu sorcerer to have walked the earth. He is a four-armed, four-eyed, two-mouthed demon of sorcery. While called the king of curses, the title is misleading. He was a Jujutsu sorcerer who became a cursed object to incarnate. There have been the strongest sorcerers of every era, including Hajime Kashimo, the strongest of the Edo period. In this era, that title currently belongs to me, but the height of Jujutsu sorcery, the Heian period, was the home of Ryaman Sukuna. No one could rival him in his period, and with age, I approached him with a binding vow. I assisted him with the ability to incarnate in the future. A binding vow that would cause blood to rain across sorcerers and non-sorcerers alike. The issue with a proper vessel of a cursed object like Sukuna's fingers is compatibility with the host. Ryaman Sukuna happens to have one of the most poisonous cursed energies. Any average person consuming a part of Sukuna would die instantly. Specific steps must occur to create a human vessel for such energy, and the stars must align for the perfect creation. Curses, however, thrive on the type of cursed energy his fingers have and can become entirely different monsters, even with just a finger. How fascinating. Nothing as glorious as this has ever been done in Jujutsu history. I was going to create a perfect vessel. I pull the thin wire on my forehead to open my skull. Using basic cursed energy reinforcement, I carefully slash open her forehead to avoid damaging the body too much. Opening her skull, I remove the brain, which makes a squelching sound, before grabbing my own. After performing the operation, I tested out my voice. To be inside a new body with such a useful curse technique. The voice change is strange since the past few bodies have been male. At least this will shut Yuram up. I quickly run through all of Kaori's memories before pinpointing one of the brightest people in her life. Jin Itadori. Kaori, now Kenjaku, smiled. Time to go home. Naohiro, it's my 12th birthday, and of course, I'm getting dragged everywhere, not literally, but mentally. Ever since I beat Gojo and unlocked my latent potential, things have been rough for me in terms of planning and society. First off, the higher-ups have been pressuring the Zenin clan into making me their pawn. It was phrased differently, but you get the idea. The next difficult thing was trying to think of a way to awaken Gojo and interacting with hidden inventory. Acting like a side character and purposely letting Toji nearly kill him and make Geto go on his racist spree doesn't sit right with me. Since Geto is currently alive, I should assume that Kenjaku knows about his curse technique, cursed spirit manipulation. Preventing Kenjaku from accessing his body and having a Geto on our side will be the ideal scenario, but who knows what Kenjaku has planned. What's the point of my entire existence if I don't stop the shit show that goes on in Shibuya, the Culling Games, or Shinjuku? If I go all out right now, I can fight Naohiro back and forth. Regarding speed, I am completely outclassed, but with my adaptations and cursed energy reinforcement, he has a hard time knocking me down. Over the years, I've changed my perception of Naohiro. After all of the crap we went through during my early years, he started to warm up to me. It's been 12 years, and he has been a core component of my life. I can't dislike him anymore. I can't spend the energy to stay away and ignore him. Naoya is complicated right now. He hasn't been the same since the tournament. In terms of my ability, though, it might be too early, but I think my durability can rival even Dagon's at 12 years old. However, even Dagon doesn't stand a chance against the later characters. I also figured out a few techniques along the way. While not able to match the heavy hitters that show up, I have a damn good start. My domain is almost complete. The only issue is that I'm feeling something is missing. I can use a solid barrier and my curse technique but need something else. My reverse curse technique needs work since I've mostly relied on my regeneration, which rivals the reverse cursed technique. Another great thing is my technique is now fully automatic. Even if I sleep, my basic adaptations will be turned on. I thought there would be some cursed energy issue, but I can consciously turn it off to regain cursed energy when needed. Basic adaptations don't take that much cursed energy, but healing and other complex ones like infinity or projection sorcery are where dents get made. Also, I've put myself in harsh conditions like freezing water, gaining the ability to breathe underwater and ignore the cold. Fire is a non-issue for me unless a volcano head curse or fire arrow from a certain someone comes flying at me. Previously, my adaptations were resistances, which was stupid on my end, but I started to take advantage of them and use them as a phenomenon change rather than adding a simple resistance. Right now, I'm the second strongest person in the Zenin clan, and even then, I am not that far off from Naohiro. Oji isn't even a close match for me. His slashes will only tickle me since I received the adaptation for Fire and Blazing Courage on a grade 1 level. I can't help but think about the Nanami scene with Oji placed in Haruda's shoes. I've now given levels to my adaptations. My adaptations have different levels depending on the strike I take, the times I interact with it, and the power behind the technique. Speaking about Oji, I learned recently that someone named Reiko Zenin was pregnant with twins. Unfortunately, they won't be able to grow up with a dad. I'm still trying to figure out how to pull that one off without becoming a rogue curse user, but he'll die eventually. Another kid named Ranta was born in the Zenin clan a year ago, but I didn't pay attention to him. My ability to grow has far surpassed what I thought was possible. Normally, while beneficial in a sorcerer's growth, a black flash didn't affect me like others. The amplification that a single one gave me was astronomical. My body adapted to the massive increase of ability that black flash gives you after performing one, making it a part of me. This shot up my growth to 120% of what it used to be and made my control only second to a 6 eyes user. My body was practically in the zone 24/7. Hitting a black flash was the greatest thing that had happened to me since coming to this hellhole that Gidge calls his child. I am officially at the level of a grade 1 sorcerer. When I get to Jujutsu Tech in 3 to 4 more years, the only person who can match me is Toji or an awakened Gojo. I am leagues above the current Gojo. He is likely stronger than his manga counterpart when he was 12 since he has been training to get to my level. I could go back and forth with him in bare fists without the usage of cursed techniques, but I've already adapted to his only 2 techniques and have more of my own, making any fight with me suicide. I wondered if Gojo could awaken by himself because of my interference, making him the future, second strongest. The most troublesome thing so far is dealing with Kenjaku. I haven't met Kenjaku yet, which surprised me since I thought he would be bolder and show himself. I won't be stupid enough to ignore that my actions made him change some of his plans. It is around the time when he took the shots, if you know what I mean, so he is bothered by the Itadorus for now. Now, then, enough lying around. I need to get working on the reverse curse technique. Third-person sorcerers don't get to go on official missions by themselves until they graduate from Jujutsu Tech, since they would rather not have children executed before they can reach their strongest. What typically happens is that professional sorcerers take on apprentices or interns to show them how missions should be performed. In most cases, a grade 1 sorcerer is assigned the mission, and the curse is at most at the level of a low-grade one. This ensures that there will be no difficulties in teaching the newer generation about Jujutsu sorcery. Since the recent balance shift, something unexpected may have occurred. Unregistered special grades have been popping up all over Japan for the past 12 years. This has made the Jujutsu Society swiftly change protocol and send scouting teams to determine the official level before missions occur. However, this has also led the higher-ups to understand the situation before the one assigned to the mission, making them a good way to send someone to execution by unexpected curse evolution or improper assessment. These would be drastic measures and wouldn't often happen, especially with people who can be useful pawns in their stupid little game, not realizing the true one pulling the strings. The higher-ups do everything they can to fulfill their own selfish desires. Even if it means the loss of the strongest sorcerer alive, they will rule that anyone should be exterminated if they try to help him get unsealed. The Jujutsu Society is corrupt. Satoru Gojo wanted to foster a new generation of sorcerers to surpass their predecessors. Missions are corrupt but necessary for the survival of Jujutsu. They are an essential part of a sorcerer's life, keeping non-sorcerers safe and unaware of the horrors around them. Naohiro, I have been assigned my first mission, dealing with a grade 1 curse in Sendai. I've killed curses before in the punishment room in the clan compound, but I have never gone out into the field for real-world experience. Since I was required to have a grade 1 sorcerer tag along with me, Junichi was forced to go with me. I'm on my way to see him head out for the exorcism. After walking to the hay area of the compound, I knocked on the door. Boom. A massive fist goes straight through the door, and I sidestep it with a neutral look. Sigh. Dealing with him is annoying since he doesn't like me. Shoving the door open, Junichi looks at me and yells in my face. Like hell, I'm going to be dragged around by you, punk. I look at him with a somewhat tired expression. I know you don't like me. I don't like you. However, we have to work together for one mission. Once we exorcise the curse, we don't need to see each other again. He glares and points at me. Last time I worked with you, I was in a hospital for a week. Yeah, he doesn't like me. At least your head wasn't torn off. That seems to piss him off even more. Huh? Just because you are some prodigy, do you think I'll bring you around for an entire day? I'm considering kicking your butt right now. I smile. He couldn't do anything to me anymore. Before we head out, want a reminder of how you ended up in the hospital? I'll need a warm-up before exorcising the curse. Before things escalate to a fight, Nabito walks into the room. Looking at me, he sighs before turning to Junichi. Look, I know you hate Naohiro, but he needs to get the experience from a grade 1 sorcerer. The Hay doesn't currently have a leader. If you do this, I'll make you the head of the Hay, for now. I'm sure Junichi and I had the same thought, you're a grade 1, do it yourself. After pondering momentarily, Junichi decided, damn it, fine, but we do things my way. If you try pulling anything, I'll leave you behind. Yeah, I'll cut your head off if you try leaving me behind. I'm finally at the point where people like Junichi, Chojuro, and Oji can't boss me around. I already know enough about missions that I don't need Junichi anymore. The only reason I'm going with him in the first place is because of the stupid higher-ups policy. I've been thinking about going rogue since I could kill Oji and possibly Junichi if I feel like it. However, I would also be away from the higher-ups policy, and I would have more freedom to deal with future threats. The problem lies in Jujutsu Society being turned against me. It's just another one of the paths that I could choose later down the line. I'm not strong enough to take on all of Jujutsu Society right now, but if I keep growing at the same rate, only Gojo, Sukuna, and Kenjaku will be able to stand up to me. I'm getting ahead of myself, but I can't help but be excited thinking about all the opportunities one will have. I'm so close to completing my domain. After thinking about it for a while, I thought of Mahito gaining inspiration, as he called it. It sounds ridiculous, but that might be what I'll need to finish it. I am broken out of my thoughts when I see Junichi stand up and walk out of the room, assuming I'll follow him. I smile. I got a great idea. What if the higher-ups made a misjudgment and the Grade 1 curse turned into a special grade? It would be a shame if one of their precious Grade 1 sorcerers were to die. I'll play along for now, Junichi, but it won't be long before you get what Oji will have. Who knows, I might even throw Chojuro in there, too. If someone encounters a Grade 1 curse, they are usually extremely nervous, especially when it is their first time on a proper mission. However, even against a special grade curse like a finger bearer, I am still confident I can handle it. What would make me serious is if Kenjaku had a hand in this mission. Now that he knows what I can do, there is a good chance I'll run into something that usual sorcerers wouldn't have on their first internship. Hell, it's cliché and happens all the time to characters in anime. Junichi and I are in a car driven to the mission site by a random man in a suit. I hope to meet Ajichi since he is the true mastermind of Jujutsu Kaisen, but you don't always get what you want. The car was silent, most likely because the guy in the suit was professional, and Junichi didn't want to speak with me. Since I have time, I'll work on my reverse cursed technique. I close my eyes and attempt to smash my negative cursed energy together to make positive energy, but while I feel it is getting close, it's not clicking. I take a deep breath and try again. 30 minutes later, a monotone voice speaks. We're here. Progress was definitely made during the car trip, but it's still not enough. Based on my estimations, regeneration from my adaptations is more cost-effective than the reverse curse technique since it burns twice as much energy. Still, I have a few ideas on how to create reversal techniques. Having a technique that is physical or can be fired will keep me from taking attacks or rushing into someone's personal space to adapt to their technique. Perhaps the reversal of adaptation is rejection. I smile. Just another reason to get a reverse curse technique. Junichi opens his mouth. Quit yapping and get out here. Let's get this thing over with. Breaking out of my thoughts, I get up and walk over to the mission site. Walking up to the site, I saw a graveyard covered in mist. It's definitely the place for a curse to be hiding. Especially a grade 1. The man in the suit speaks up. If there is nothing more, I will wait in the car until you both return. He raises his hand. Emerge from the darkness, blacker than darkness. Purify that which is impure, curtain. The next thing I know is that we are covered in a veil of darkness, better known as a curtain, the basics of domains. While he is standing at the entrance, I start walking ahead of Junichi. He speaks up. Hey, wait up. Turning around, I mockingly told him, if you're scared, you can stay at the entrance, temporary leader of the Hay. He rushes towards me with an angry look on his face but doesn't act on it. It looks like he isn't here to mess around. While I did taunt him, I'm not here to argue with this moron. I'm here to kill a curse. The only reason I came here with him in the first place was because of some dumbass rule. Sensing a decently sized cursed energy nearing the mausoleum in the middle portion of the graveyard, I smile. I found you, you little rat. Clack, shink, click with that, all of my physical adaptations, aside from the specific curse techniques, are turned on. I've combined my adaptations into categories based on who I'm fighting. For Gojo, I have a limitless set of adaptations. This is similar to my projection sorcery category. Now then. I run towards the mausoleum and look for the curse, not before Junichi catches up to me. Junichi looks tilted. Why did you run ahead? I'm responsible for you. As he finishes his sentence, I look towards the entrance and feel the cursed energy from earlier explode. Boom. I smirk. I called it. Couldn't help yourself, Gidge. One of the most cliché MC growth tactics. Put him against a stronger opponent that usually wouldn't be here in any other circumstance. Now, that is a special grade curse if I've ever felt one. There is zero chance that Kenjaku isn't behind this. If I'm lucky, I'll get one of Sukuna's fingers after this. Men, this is going to be fun. Just then, I see something jump out of the entrance towards me before I punch it in the face. Bam! The curse that looked half worm and half human was smashed into the ground. He looked zombie-ish, if that was even a word. It seems a bit on the nose in a graveyard, but whatever. Shooting my cursed energy higher and higher, I bring my fist down to finish this thing. I look towards its stomach before smiling and aiming straight for a specific point. A finger bearer. Whoosh. As my hand got closer and closer to the point, I suddenly stopped. I heard a muffled voice under me. Domain expansion, Tomb of the Abyss. Oh no, you don't. No plot armor for you. Falling Blossom emotion. My fist got shoved through his chest, grabbing a red finger on the way through. Splat! With that, the domain shattered. I sighed in relief. That could have ended badly if I hadn't had an anti-domain technique. I didn't know the sure hit, but I'm glad it didn't have to come to that. I turn around. Junichi, are you always this useless? You're supposed to be grade 1. However, what I see is Junichi with a disintegrated right arm. Junichi looked shocked but blinked a few times before looking at his stub and then at me. You just saved my life. I was caught off guard. I didn't know that there was a special grade curse here. There must have been a mice valuation. Not a chance in hell. Clap. 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 Turning to my left, I hear clapping and a melodic voice. Nice job. Falling Blossom emotion is effective but not the perfect way to deal with a domain. However, I will need that finger back, Naohiro. You've got to be kidding me. How many clichés are going to appear in one day? Kenjaku. I can't beat him. A one-armed Junichi and I don't stand a chance together. Not even Yuki, Choso, and Tungen were enough to put him down, and I'm not yet at Yuta's level. Even if he doesn't have Geto's cursed spirit manipulation, he has a domain, gravity manipulation, reverse curse technique, and 1,000 years of experience more than I do. I'm in some deep crap. Before I get the chance to speak, Kaori or Kenjaku speaks up. I thought the curse would put up more of a fight if I fed it one of Sukuna's fingers, but it was disappointing. I still can't seem to figure out what your technique is. I give a nervous smirk. HM? And who might you be? Kenjaku smiled. I have many names, but you can call me Noritoshi Kumo for the time being. Just then, a massive fist of cursed energy flies towards Kenjaku, and he jumps to the side. He calls out. How rude, I was talking to Naohiro, cursed technique reversal, anti-gravity system. Junichi and I get hit, putting both of us on the ground. Clink. I slowly stand up and see Junichi paralyzed on the ground. Clink, if only I could adapt to his gravity technique, I'd be in great shape. I'm dead if a domain comes out. Afterward, Kenjaku releases his technique and narrows his eyes. Junichi can barely move. How useless can one person be? Damn it, you want the finger? Fine. This is either one of the dumbest or smartest things I have ever done in both lifetimes. I open my mouth. Gulp. Kenjaku widens his eyes to the point that I would have bet that they could have fallen out. Thump thump. I feel a pain that I never imagined was possible. Ea. Clink. Do your thing, adaptation. If this works, I can become familiar with Sukuna's cursed energy. Worst case, I die or become his vessel. Clink clink, clink huff huff. I speak my thoughts out loud. I'm alive. Bleh. I vomit out blood. Clink finally, it's over. Hey Sukuna, you there? I got no response. I smile and look up to see a dumbfounded Kenjaku. The last thing he expected was for me to eat a Sukuna finger and survive. He speaks up in a somber tone. So that's what it is, adaptation to cursed energy. No wonder you were able to stand up after I used my curse technique and bypass the limitless. Apologies, but you will become a problem if I keep you alive. He starts to move both of his hands together. If my gravity technique won't work, I'll have to use something more potent. No, no, no. Move. I can't let him pull it off. Everything slows down to where Kenjaku looks frozen in place. What have I been doing in this world? I've been doing nothing but acting like a child who was given anime powers. Now that I'm going to die, I can finally see. Inspiration. Ha, so that's how it works. I cross my ring and middle fingers and make an X shape with my thumbs. Then, I push my pinky and pointer together. I've always wanted to do this. Kenjaku and I speak at the same time. Domain expansion, cycle of Sasra, and domain expansion, womb perfusion. A small desert is formed while a totem of cursed spirits appears without a barrier. However, the small desert quickly gets pushed back. Not on my watch. Ha ha ha, one thing about domain clashes is that, while refinement is one of the most important things, the amount of cursed energy matters. If I can pump cursed energy in it, problem solved. My domain, while it doesn't get any bigger, stops shrinking. I can physically feel my cursed energy reserves tanking fast. If I let go of my domain for even a second, I'm screwed. I look over at Kenjaku, and he smiles. How fascinating to think that you would be able to hold back my domain with a freshly opened one. Before you die, I have a question for you. How do you exist? I expected the Gojo child, but you are an anomaly. Sorry, I don't plan on answering questions while holding back a domain. I'm going to need Sukuna levels of plot armor to get out of this one alive. Clink, no way. My technique still works in a domain clash. How is that even possible? Wait, I wished for Mahoraga's adaptation, not an adaptive curse technique. This means it has the properties of Mahoraga's adaptation and the properties of a curse technique. I give a slight smirk. After a single minute, I already feel my cursed energy reserves become lower than half. Clink. Come on. Adapt already. I wished for you for a reason. Clink. As my reserves get to a third of their usual, I hear the sound that gives me enough plot armor to survive this damn thing. Shink womb perfusion adapted. After hearing the adaptation sound, I let go of my domain, it popped, and I fell into the range of the sure hit. However, to Kenjaku's surprise, the sure hit doesn't hit me. Using the split-second time of surprise, I turn tail and sprint out of the domain's sure hit range. If I stay here any longer, I'm dead. I push all of my remaining cursed energy into my body so I can amplify my speed as much as possible. After running away, I hear a crash as Kenjaku releases his domain. Third person as Kenjaku prepares to chase Naohiro, someone grabs his ankle and smiles. 5 massive fists come crashing down on Kenjaku and Junichi, and a massive explosion goes off. Since Junichi was inside Naohiro's domain before it got destroyed, he was immune to the sure hit effect for most of the clash's duration. Kenjaku happened to release it just fast enough for Junichi to survive for a few seconds. Normally, Junichi wouldn't be able to survive anything remotely close to a sure hit of a domain as strong as Kenjaku's, but he did something that even he didn't think he would do on an internship. A suicidal binding vow. A smokescreen from the explosion is made, and Naohiro is nowhere to be found. Naohiro, after running for only God knows how long, I fall over and put my back on a tree. Huff huff. I am alive. Looking around, I see no sign of Kenjaku anywhere. I should be dead. There is no reason for me to escape Kenjaku alive, especially since he used a domain expansion on me. However, I could see the inspiration in the face of death. Who knew that Kenjaku, of all people, would show me how to open a domain? I give myself a nervous smirk. I'm glad, but I can't help but wonder how I was able to escape alive. The last thing I remember happening before sprinting away was an explosion that I had no involvement in. Junichi. No, there is no way that he managed to hold back Kenjaku. Even a special-grade sorcerer would have a hard time keeping him from pursuing me. Whatever the case, I need to get moving. I can't be comfortable until I'm fully sure that I am able to stay away from him and beat him. Getting on my feet, I keep running. It sounds comical coming from a child, but I can't stay in the clan anymore. He would have direct access to me, and now I know he wants me dead. If he didn't before, he sure as hell does now. The fact that I can eat Sukuna's fingers without the drawback and have him incarnate is something that he will not let go of easily. Hell, since I've adapted to his techniques, he'll probably send Uram at me. Even a jackpot Hikari was struggling against them. The same Hikari that beat the farming king in base. I'm still not at that level. I noticed that my cursed energy increased, so I have 0.1% more cursed energy than Sukuna does. After adapting to the finger, I heard numerous clinks, so I'm not 100% sure what they mean for me other than adapting to the poisonous cursed energy. Unfortunately, I didn't get his curse technique. Eating Sukuna's fingers doesn't give as much of an amplification as if Sukuna was eating them himself, but I have a feeling I got something more than Yuji did. I mean, if Yuji had the power of a 15-finger Sukuna, Mahito wouldn't be able to blink without being exorcised. If I ever meet him, I'll have to thank the patch-faced curse. He told me what I needed to complete a domain. A domain expansion, every single JJK fan's wet dream. It looks like it's like awakening a cursed technique in that the hand signs and effects are imprinted into one's mind when achieving it. While I can form a barrier, I need to refine it to where I am not helpless against a domain as complex as Kenjaku's. In the future, I'll need to be able to clash with monsters like Gojo and Sukuna. Gojo's was enough to completely turn off Jogo's, while Megumi could hold back Dagon's. Thinking about it now as someone who can perform a domain expansion, I find it horrifying how strong they are. It is now that everything is put into perspective. I now understand what level I need to be at by the time I turn 28. Things need to change. One step at a time won't work anymore. I'm definitely stronger than Naohiro, which would make me one of the top 5 strongest people in the world right now, which is just hilarious. There are 3 things I could be working on now. 1. Refining my domain expansion. 2. Reverse cursed technique. 3. Gaining more adaptation. All 3 seem viable, but I need to get the reverse curse technique as soon as possible. My thoughts get broken when I make it to a small town. Walking around for a while, I see a payphone. Right, 2002. I can't believe I'm saying this, but even a clan head of the Jujutsu Society has a phone number. It makes sense, but I was baffled when I learned Naohiro had a cell phone. Obviously, it's not widely known, but I'm one of the few that have access to direct contact with him. Walking up to the payphone, I see a 100 yen coin between the cracks of the pavement. Thanks to whoever had the misfortune of dropping this here. My plot armor seems to have no end. Picking it up, I dial Naohiro's number after pushing the coin in. Ring. Ring. An old voice picks up. Huh? Who's this? I'm busy. I reply with a small smile. It's me, you old geezer. He replies. Naohiro. How's the mission? As he says that, I let out a small laugh but let out a sad smile. Talking in a serious tone, I tell him. I'm in some deep shit. Listen to me, and listen to me seriously. I'm not going to be able to come back for a little while. Junichi is dead, and I've got a really bad someone trying to kill me right now. His semi-joking tone ends. Naohiro. I hope you know what you are doing, but I can't just let you disappear with a central figure of the Hei dead. I then think of something that can cover Kenjaku. Noritoshi Kumo is alive and is hunting me. He released a special grade curse and got Junichi killed. The line goes silent for a solid 30 seconds. I then hear a somber voice on the line that I haven't heard from him in 12 years. I'll take care of it. I pause for a few seconds before replying. Thanks, old man. I will be back when I'm strong enough, but I'm not at that level yet. I'll be back by the time of Jujutsu Tech enrollment, but for now, I'll become the strongest sorcerer alive. He only replies with a sound of affirmation. Then, the line becomes disconnected. Kenjaku, you're now on my #1 hit list. I'll make you wish you had Yuta hunting you. 3 years later, Naoya, I know that I won't be the strongest. It's something that I've had to come to terms with after all of these years. That title is reserved for my older brother. So why did Naohiro leave? Every time he is brought up, Father shuts down the conversation. Ever since the mission that he was sent on, Father has had a personality shift. He works late and has been taking his job as clan head seriously. He knows something about Naohiro that isn't being told to everyone. It wasn't like Naohiro was the future clan head, but he was a core component of the Zenin clan. With Junichi's death and Naohiro's departure, the Zenin clan has been in a state of chaos. The Jujutsu higher-ups have tried to label him as a rogue cursed user, but Father has been defending him and has been holding them back. When the tournament ended, I looked at myself and decided to change who I was. I was no longer the arrogant child, unaware of the world around me. I recently turned 14 and had been training harder than I had my entire life. Around a year ago, I reached semi-grade 1 status. Even though I hadn't been enrolled in Jujutsu Tech, I was granted the title of a semi-grade 1 sorcerer at 13. Being the future clan head has its benefits. I didn't care if I couldn't stand with the strongest, but I sure as hell am not going to be weak. Rather than comparing myself to the unreachable mountain Satoru Gojo or Naohiro, I set my sights on the fastest sorcerer alive. I was going to become fast enough so Father wouldn't be able to perceive me until it was too late. If I can't become the fastest sorcerer alive after surpassing my father, I'll become the second fastest. I am currently a member of the Hei. Since Junichi is dead, Oji became the new leader of the Hei. I hate that old snake, which is why. Two small voices speak. Big brother Naoya. I smiled to myself. What are you two doing here? How someone could treat these two children horribly is beyond me. I couldn't imagine bullying my adorable little cousins. Since Oji disowned his two daughters, I became an older brother figure to them. Who knew that I would be the one to take care of two children? Maki and Mai. Satoru Gojo turns out the freak up and left his clan. Ugh, why can't I leave this stupid crap? I'm tired of all of these old people and their traditions. I can single-handedly fold my entire clan, so the whole let's control the future strongest sorcerer plan didn't work out for them. I've read stories that made more sense than clan politics. Next month, I'll enroll in Jujutsu Tech, and I better see Naohiro there so I can kick his butt for that punch he gave me 7 years ago. I've picked up a few techniques of my own that I'm just waiting to use on him. If this is a repeat of him not showing up like in the past, I'm going to lose my mind. It's like every time I want to interact with him, he just up and disappears. I'm starting to question if his technique is the limitless and not mine. PFT. Nah, his curse technique is even more overpowered than mine. I swear, I was born with the 6 eyes and the limitless, and he was still able to punch me. It just pisses me off. All that talk about being the future strongest, just to get knocked out like a complete bum made me realize something. If I stand around and do nothing, I'll be left behind. Previously, I was simply learning techniques, thinking everyone was below me, but ever since that time, I've dedicated myself to being able to knock that stupid smirk off of his face. It might be arrogant of me to say, but I think I might be ahead of the Zenin. I was able to do it. Something only the smallest percentage of people in the world of Jujutsu can do. Domain expansion. Heh, and when I finally figure out the reverse curse technique, I'll be the strongest sorcerer on the planet. Ha 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 ha. Ahem. I let my thoughts out loud. Who cares if people think I'm crazy? They're nothing but weak. Now that I think about it, I'm probably the 3rd or 2nd strongest person in the world right now. There was that Yuki Tsukumo lady who became the first special grade sorcerer in a long time, and Naohiro. I give a wide smile. It won't be long before I'm at the top of the totem pole, so you better watch out, Naohiro, since I'm going to surpass you. Naohiro, I'm finally done with my training. I don't have any more time to waste before I enroll at Jujutsu Tech. I can't wait to see everyone's development. I'll also be able to meet Maki and Mai and see how far Gojo and Naoya have progressed. The past few years have been nothing but running, training, and pain. I haven't felt this much excitement in a long time. I'm almost ready for whatever Kenjaku throws at me now. Yuram. I'll send them back to the Heian era. Toji? Should have stayed with Megumi. Kenjaku? Should have killed me 3 years ago. After walking for a while, I start to see a familiar place. As I walk up to the clan compound that I haven't seen in 3 years, I give it a smile. Man, it's good to be back. Even though Oji is probably still alive. Now is the time for canon to start. Naohiro, now that I am back, it's time to greet the old man. As I walk through the door, I get surprised looks from the guards. They are stunned to where I can bypass them without them even moving their mouth. I make my way into the main section of the compound and see a ton of eyes on me. Ignoring them, I make my way into the main hall, where I see an old geezer sitting down. I smile and greet him. Hey, old man. Miss me? He turns to me and narrows his eyes before disappearing. Whoosh. Tilting my head back, I give a giant smile as he goes flying over me. Good to see you too. He stops his movement as he lands and glares at me. Do you know how much trouble I went through to make sure you weren't labeled as a rogue, cursed user? Nothing for the past 3 years. I give him a nervous smirk. I was a bit busy working on some things, but I'm here now. Where's Naoya? I haven't seen him here. Whoosh. This time, I tilt my head forward and glance to the left to see a blur go over my head. Hey Naoya. Did they really have to aim for my head? I don't see an amused Naoya, but one with a tick mark on his head. Hey Naoya, that's all you have to say? What I ended up noticing was 2 small girls rushing into the room, following Naoya. Wait a minute. And who might you girls be? The girl with the slightly greener hair hid behind the other one. The black-haired one spoke first with confidence. I'm Mai, and this is Maki. Oji, you've outlived your usefulness. It looks like Naoya is caring for them, considering that they bothered to follow him here. I doubt they would be anywhere near him if he were bullying them. If he were, I'd have to give him a lesson on how to treat women. Naoya speaks up. What are you doing here? I sigh and then reply. There were circumstances that prevented me from coming back, but I'll be here for the foreseeable future. I would have liked to return sooner, but I couldn't. Naoya narrows his eyes. That's so. I turn to Naobito. Hey, old man, is that offer to be the head of the Hei still on the table? Snapping back to his usual professional attitude, he speaks. Naohiro, it's complicated. Junichi was supposed to take the mantle, but Oji ended up being the best choice until Naoya, or you, could take over. Oji. Huh? I speak up. Do you think I can take over the mantle if I defeat Oji? When I decided to come back here, my main plan was to let Naoya be the clan head since I didn't want to have that position while I created a new version of the Hei. A Hei that isn't tainted would give me power in the clan and not force me into the clan head duties. Maki, Mai, Ranta, and Naoya would temporarily be my go-to for the Hei. That is still down the future since Maki and Mai are 3, Ranta is 5, and Naoya is still a child, but having them as the main core would be ideal. For now, I'll become the head of the Hei. Naobito starts to sweat a little. Naohiro, that is one way to do it, but... To an outsider, it would sound like Naobito is worried for my safety, but I know what he really thinks. He is worried that I'm going to rip Oji to shreds. He is a high-ranking member but a poison that needs to be gone. Well, it's a poison for me and the denizens of the Zenin clan. I give Naobito a neutral look. I'm going to go find Oji. Have that position ready for me by the time I get back. I'm at the point where nobody in the clan can stop me anymore. Turning around, I walk out of the main room and start heading towards the Hei section of the compound. Opening the sliding door, I am met with an Oji sitting cross-legged, drinking tea. I smirk at him. He opens up his empty eyes. You've returned. I'm not here to dance around the subject. Get up, and let's get to it. I still have to catch up with my brother and talk to an acquaintance, friend, rival. I don't know what I am to Gojo. A rival? Nah, that's cliché and boring, but that might be what we are. Oji narrows his eyes before getting up and heading out of the door before speaking. How unfortunate. I was looking forward to speaking with you before you die. I'm baffled at how dumb this guy is. I pulled off a black flash at 8, and he still thinks he can beat me with all my years of training. While I would one-shot him like the fodder that he is, this is a great opportunity to test out my new techniques on a real opponent. Oji and I stand across from each other in the open area of the compound, giving each of us enough space to utilize our curse techniques. I grab a rock. Once this hits the ground, we go. Sound good. Oji grabs onto his sword and narrows his eyes even more somehow. Tossing the rock in the air, I smile as it lands on the ground. Thud. Here we go. Grabbing his sword, it lights on fire before his body lights up, showcasing his usage of falling blossom emotion and blazing courage. Still, with an aloof attitude, I aim at him with my hand in a gun shape. Curse technique reversal, snatch. Oji is surprised to find out that his blazing courage fizzled out. The reversal of adaptation is rejection. If you gain adaptation or change, the reversal is losing adaptation to the change. In other words, I can make people lose phenomena. The technique's time and efficiency depend on the target and the amount of cursed energy imbued in it, but its efficiency is perfect for people with an entire grade or more below me. In this particular case, I'm a special grade, and Oji is a grade 1. I smile as his eyes widen to unimaginable heights. He then runs at me with his sword drawn. You damn punk. I look him in the eyes as I speak. Remember when you said it would be fantasy to get a domain before reaching 18? Well, I figured it out at 12. My smile turns wicked as I put my hands together. Domain expansion, cycle of Sasra. The next thing Oji knew, he was in the middle of an endless desert. The sun's heat can be felt on the ground and on one's body. Oji looks around and drops his sword, stopping his assault while the falling blossom emotion around him dissipates. He has no intention of speaking, so I'll do the honors. Well, Oji, this is my domain expansion. While my domain doesn't have a lethal or damaging sure hit, it does have a cool little thing about it. He falls on his hands and knees. I continue. My curse technique works with adaptation. In my domain, all phenomena of others are seen as things that need to be purged, including the cursed energy of all who enter it. If I catch anyone within my domain before they can use an anti-domain technique, they are left without their cursed energy. OG looks like he's trying to speak, but the words don't come out. My smile widens even further. In other words, if you get caught in my domain, you'll be unable to open your own domain expansion or turn on an anti-domain, leaving you helpless. Of course, I get stronger and all of my adapted phenomena, including my body reinforcement ones, but that's beside the point. At this point, I doubt OG was even listening, so I do the honors and splat. With that, I release my domain to see a crowd surrounding my barrier. Usually, I wouldn't explain my technique like that, but he would die, and it was on my bucket list of things that I wanted to do. With that, I'm now the leader of the Hei. Naohiro. Things ran pretty smoothly for the month leading up to my enrollment into Jujutsu Tech, which surprised me since I thought Kenjaku would have made a move by now. He likely knows that I have returned to the Zenin clan, so he will move on me sooner rather than later. What I am worried about is the prison realm. If it was able to seal someone like Adult Gojo, I have no doubt I could get trapped in it if I'm caught off guard. Obviously, I have no plans on getting sealed, but it is something that needs to be dealt with before it becomes an issue. If I hadn't interacted with Kenjaku before, I might have been worried about him fighting me because I hadn't adapted to his cursed technique and domain. However, I'm confident I can beat him in a one-on-one without those two cards. Things become problematic if he acquires cursed spirit manipulation. I'm almost positive that I'll meet Uram soon since it is the most obvious move that Kenjaku could make against me. Now, however, I am finally walking up the stairs to meet the current principal, who is unnamed in the original story. I didn't bother learning his name since if he wasn't mentioned, he wouldn't have contributed much. The only one we see is Yaga, whom I plan on keeping alive. He was pretty meh in the story, but cursed corpses are too valuable to let go of. Who knows, I might give Gakuganji the OG treatment. Speaking of OG, since I became the leader of the Hei, I am officially a Zenin clan higher-up. Naobito and Chojuro are the only others since OG and Junichi are dead. If an important event occurs, I'll be notified since my opinion matters now. Currently, Naoya isn't in that group, but give it a year or two, and I have no doubt that he will join. I still need to fix my relationship with Naoya. For this entire month, he has been avoiding me. Naobito was the only one who should know about the Noritoshi Kamo situation since Naoya wouldn't be able to do anything, and it would be better if he focused on other things. Naoya couldn't get stronger if he constantly worried about me, but I can't help but feel that what I did to him was selfish. My negative thoughts get broken when I finally reach the top of the stairs. I see a giant gate with a doorway into the school for Jujutsu sorcerers. I'm finally here. I accomplished the goals I set out for. Reverse curse technique, domain expansion, and special grade. There isn't a place that I'm at that could have been better. I walk through the doorway, which is already crowded with people. While there aren't a ton of people, I can recognize a few faces in the crowd. Sigh. I tilt my head backward. Whoosh. I know that white-haired, blue-eyed smile from anywhere. Why is everyone trying to kick my head off? Landing like everyone else, I hear the six-eyes teenager speak with a smile and his hand raised. Yo, it's been a while. Ha. I thought you wouldn't be here, but it looks like I was wrong. You haven't changed much. I give him a smile. It seems you have changed a lot. You are a lot happier than before. He looks somewhat offended. It's been 7 years, and you think I've been the same stuck-up brat? Turns out he changed after our fight in the clan tournament. I give him a smug smile. Well, it isn't too unexpected. A black flash to the face would have changed anyone. Rather than seeming offended, he tilts his shades down and gives a malicious grin. I've picked up some new tricks. Do you want to see them? My smile grows wider. With how I am now, I don't care what you've picked up. It will be even worse for you than last time. Before things escalate to a fight, one of the professors that I don't recognize speaks up. Welcome to Tokyo Metropolitan Curse Technical College. Here, you will be tested and refined into true Jujutsu sorcerers. Technically, I'm already considered a grade 1 sorcerer, but that will change soon. I need to apply to become a special grade. I'm unsure how that works since special grades are anomalies in the Jujutsu world. The professor goes on for a little bit about what we will be doing here and in the dormitories. Then, his speech ends, and we are allowed to move around the campus to check things out before starting school the next day. I speak up to Gojo. Well, we can finish this discussion another day. Let's figure out our living situation so we can unpack our stuff. Gojo looks a little annoyed but agrees before we part ways. After making my way to the dormitories, I find my room that already has my bags on the ground. I grab them and start unpacking. It's nice that they deliver bags rather than carrying them up a million stairs. I smile to myself. My new life as a Jujutsu sorcerer has officially started. The next day, getting up early for classes sucked since I was on my own schedule at the compound and when I was training, so going back to the lifestyle that I had when I was in high school in my previous life is annoying. However, I can't help but be excited for the future. Walking into the main class area, I walk to my assigned class and stop at the door. Inhale. Exhale. As I take a deep breath, I slide the door open and walk inside. I smile as I am greeted by Gojo putting his feet up on the desk in front of him. He seems asleep, but I know he isn't. I expected 2 other people, but I was happy and nervous to meet them. The nervousness didn't come from meeting new people, but seeing Geto made me think about his racist spree. I saw Geto and Shoko chilling out and talking to each other before going to a desk, sitting down, and introducing myself. I give them a smile. Hey, nice to meet you guys. I'm Naohiro, and it looks like we will be working together for the next few years. I get a smile from Geto and a nod of affirmation from Shoko. I'm Suguru, the quiet one is Shoko, and the idiot sleeping over there is Satoru. That got Gojo up from his fake nap. The hell you say? This is going to be a fun year.
And that concludes this episode. If you enjoyed it, I'd seriously love it if you guys could leave a like on the video as it genuinely helps out so much, and it keeps me going, plus it takes only 1 second. That said, have a wonderful day. See you in the next one.